My name is Qi Xia. I am about to start lying. Qi Xia gazed at the principal before him and was just about to speak when the man cut him off. Principal by Jiansheng waved his hand, his tone impatient. I know you are eager to talk, but hold your tongue for now. Student Qi Xia, you are only 3 days away from turning 20, yet you still have not awakened any spiritual power. You have disappointed me greatly. So my advising you to withdraw from school and give up on the university entrance examination is entirely reasonable, isn't it? If you occupy the school's quota to take the university exam, it will be bad for everyone. Give up as soon as possible so that all parties can retain some dignity. Listening to the principal's persistent attempts to persuade him to withdraw, Qi Xia could no longer miss the implication. If he failed to awaken spiritual power by the age of 20, then sitting for the university exam would only drag down the school's overall standing. He had already anticipated such an outcome. After all, in the era of high martial, in a world where martial might reign supreme, strength was everything. Here everyone would at some moment before turning 20 suddenly awaken spiritual power and thus become a wielder of spiritual abilities. The abilities of such spiritual wielders were endlessly diverse: humanoid forms, beast forms, artifact forms, elemental forms, even abstract manifestations, and more. Yet without exception, as long as one was a spiritual wielder, one possessed formidable power. But with Qi Xia about to turn 20, once that moment passed, he would never again be able to awaken spiritual power and would be consigned forever to becoming a powerless one. Here a powerless one did not mean an incompetent husband, but someone utterly devoid of spiritual power, relegated to the lowest rungs of society and its most menial jobs. Principal by Jiansheng did not wish to wait. He wanted to force Qi Xia to withdraw from the university exam in these final 3 days. After all, the withdrawal procedures would take time, and he was unwilling to take any risks. Seeing Qi Xia's reluctance, by Jiansheng decided to lay some chips on the table. Student Qi Xia, the school is not entirely unreasonable. So long as you withdraw, the school will grant you 6666 credit points as a gesture of humanitarian support, and we will also introduce you to a job that pays 1500 credits a month. Qi Xia shook his head and asked in a low voice. Principal, my gene unlocking rate has already reached 0.6. Are you truly unwilling to wait a little longer? Student Qi Xia, I know your overall qualifications are decent, and it is not that I lack faith in you, the principal said. But for a powerless one to achieve good results in the university entrance examination is as difficult as ascending to the heavens. I advise you to abandon this path. Seeing that Qi Xia still wished to say more, by Jiansheng waved his hand again to cut him off. Enough, Student Qi Xia. Go home now and discuss this with your parents. Tonight I expect the correct answer. But, Qi Xia, do not fail to appreciate kindness. I have already gone to great lengths for you. If you continue to pester, you will be in the wrong. All at once, Qi Xia felt an overwhelming aura burst from by Jiansheng, a terrifying pressure that forced him to bow his head and slowly walk out of the principal's office. Just after stepping out of the office, he leaned helplessly against the wall, still shaken by the spiritual power the principal had just unleashed. As a transmigrator who had been sent over by a heavy truck, Qi Xia had not only failed to awaken any spiritual power, he also had no system and lacked any powerful background. He truly felt he had disgraced transmigrators everywhere. Just as he was preparing to go back, he vaguely heard the principal's voice on the phone from inside the office. Hello, are you Qi Xia's father? This is Principal by Jiansheng. Here's the situation. I hope you can persuade Qi Xia to voluntarily withdraw. I will provide you with a measure of humanitarian support. Of course, let me speak plainly. Do not resist, do not refuse, or it will be bad for everyone. Standard Class Planet AE86, Yongjiang City, Collective Dormitory Room 404. Qi Xia's father Qi Zongheng quietly regarded his son and sighed. Xiao Xia, the principal has already told us about your situation. Your mother and I are both powerless ones, so the fact that you have no spiritual power was to a large extent almost a foregone conclusion. So we feel you should accept the principal's proposal. Withdraw of your own accord, find a stable job, marry, have children, and live a peaceful, happy life. Seeing Qi Xia remain unmoved, his mother Qi Xia urged him earnestly. Xiao Xia, listen to your father. Give up on the university exam and just live your life in peace. We are saying all this for your own good. Stop chasing those unrealistic dreams. Looking at his parents, Qi Xia felt a wave of bitterness wash through his heart. Dad, Mom, you agreed to the principal's request. At his words, Qi Zongheng and Qi Xia silently nodded. I think the principal is not a bad man. He's not only giving you credits, but also introducing you to a job. That's a good person. Yes, Xiao Xia, I also think the principal is someone we can deal with. Having a steady job with a monthly income of 1500 is really not bad. Qi Xia's parents stood at the bottom of society. Their combined monthly wages barely reached 2500. For Qi Xia to have a salary of 1500 right after leaving school would save him from wandering for decades. To them, this would dramatically reduce the burden on the family. Moreover, a principal who was a spiritual wielder was not someone they could afford to offend, otherwise the consequences might be far worse than mere unemployment. Having thought it through, a bitter taste filled Qi Xia's heart. In a world where martial might ruled supreme, the path was truly cruel. Had he really been given another life just to spend it as a beast of burden once more? He was unwilling to accept this fate, yet what could he do? Feeling utterly helpless, Qi Xia quietly returned to his room. He collapsed face first onto his bed and stared blankly at the ceiling. At that moment, a mechanical voice echoed within his mind. Ding! Detecting that the host is about to turn 20, yet has not awakened spiritual power, we hereby present a gift of motherly love from Earth. The All-Heaven's Wife Draw System. At those words, Qi Xia sprang up from the bed, excitement surging through him. It had come. At last it had come. Indeed, a system might arrive late, but it would never fail to appear. Earth truly did treat every transmigrator kindly, this much was no lie. Yet the name of this system sounded a little strange, a bit less than proper. He was still a pure-hearted young man who had remained single for 19 years from birth, not some lecher. A fresh account, better not play any tricks. Qi Xia took a deep breath, pushed aside the chaotic thoughts, and immediately began to inspect the system within his mind. The All-Heaven's Card Draw System. 1. Daily Draw. Every day at midnight, the host automatically receives one free card draw. 2. Card Pool Contents. The card pool is connected to the women of all heavens and myriad worlds. Female characters from anime, games, novels, films, history, mythology, and even the real world. 3. Card Rarity Levels. N cards normal are cards, excellent SR cards, rare SSR cards, super rare, and UR cards special or limited. 4. Guaranteed Mechanism. An SR card is guaranteed within 30 draws, and an SSR card is guaranteed within 100 draws. 5. Fusion Rules. 20 N cards can be fused into 1 R card, 10 R cards into 1 SR card, and 5 SR cards into 1 SSR card. 6. Character Introduction. When a new card is drawn, the corresponding woman is summoned to the host's side and begins with an initial level of favorability toward him. Note, favorability is scored out of 100 points. Once a card's favorability exceeds 80 points, and the host achieves perfect resonance with her, the system grants a one-time reward. Note, the higher the favorability at the moment of resonance, and the rarer the card, the greater the reward. Each card can only trigger this reward once. Note, regardless of favorability, none of the female characters will ever betray the protagonist. 7. System Camouflage. When manifested outwardly, the system disguises itself as the host's SS or level spirit ability, Heroic Spirit Summoning. Note, no method in the world can detect anything amiss. After reading through the system introduction, Qi Xia drew in a sharp breath, his entire being shaken. The card pool of the All-Heaven's Card Draw System contained only women, yet it connected to the myriad worlds of the heavens, summoning them whether virtual or real. Its coverage was exceedingly vast. However, unlike other gacha games, there was no preview of the card pool, leaving him completely in the dark as to which characters might appear within. Still, the cards were divided into rarities, and lower-ranked cards could be fused into higher-ranked ones, which he felt was a rather decent rule. This meant he could not simply summon every single card, he would have to learn to stockpile them. Hoarding cards was a compulsory lesson for every free-to-play player. The guaranteed mechanism was similar to other games. 30 draws for a guaranteed SR meant 30 days, and 100 draws for a guaranteed SSR meant 100 days. It could not be called exploitative, the only flaw was that it consumed time. Without any way to spend money to speed things up, failing to draw an SSR early would be quite painful. Anyone who had played such games knew that investing in low-rarity cards had abysmal cost-effectiveness. The effort and payoff were utterly disproportionate, and it was not worth wasting resources or energy. Prioritizing the cultivation of SR and SSR cards was the wiser path. He had to avoid acting on impulse and ruining his future. The opening phase was especially crucial, everything had to be allocated rationally. As for the later stages, he could play however he wished, there was no need to rush in the present moment. The final feature, System Camouflage, would allow him to evade inspections and offered a reasonable explanation for the sudden appearance of these women from across the heavens, leading others to believe they were brought forth by his SSR spirit ability, Heroic Spirit Summoning. Qi Xia glanced at the time. It was now 1930, still a long way from midnight. So he simply began practicing the Tai Chi guiding art he had learned in order to increase his gene unlock rate. The gene unlock rate was the foundation of every spirit ability user, representing the magnitude of one's spiritual power, stamina, and physical strength. It was also the primary metric for university examinations. A 1 gene unlock rate was the passing threshold for the exam. Combined with the awakened spirit ability, it determined what tier of university one could attend. The tiers of spirit abilities were ranked as EDCB, AS, SR, and SSR. Qi Xia's SS grade spirit ability placed him at the very pinnacle and made him a coveted prize for every university. Just as he finished 2 sets of the Tai Chi guiding art, his bedroom door swung open. The ones who entered were Qi Zongheng, and Qi Xia the latter carrying a plate of fruit. Xiao Xia practicing again, huh? Qi Xia wiped the sweat from his forehead. Seeing his parents, he did not even need to ask why they had come. He nodded lightly and responded, Qi Zongheng smiled, a trace of reminiscence flickering in his eyes. Practicing is a good thing. When your dad was young, I worked just as hard, but without a spirit ability, I could never truly make something of myself. Still, every path has its own blessings. Without a spirit ability, I didn't have to fight and kill or risk my life diving into dungeons. Being able to marry your mom, have you, and live out a stable life. That too is a kind of happiness. Qi Xia set down the plate of fruit, her eyes filled with tender affection. That's right, Xiao Xia. Look at our family. We may be a bit poor, but haven't we been living quite happily? We know you feel unwilling, and it pains us as well. If you must blame someone, then blame us, your parents, for being useless, for failing to give you a spirit ability. Looking at their sorrowful expressions, how could Qi Xia not understand their hearts? He slowly reached out, took their hands, and smiled faintly. Mom, Dad, let me tell you some good news. I've awakened a spirit. At his words, both of them were overjoyed. Xiao Xia, are you serious? It's true. That's wonderful. Overjoyed, Qi Zongheng quickly pulled out his phone and began searching for a number. I'll call the principal right now and tell him not to force you to drop out. Dad, there's no need, Qi Xia said, reaching out to stop Qi Zongheng, his tone turning solemn. I don't want to stay at First University anymore. I want to represent another school in the university examinations. Qi Zongheng and Qi Xia were both stunned. But Xiao Xia, there are only 2 days left before registration for the university exams closes. Changing schools now. How could there still be time? Exactly, and other schools might not even want you, Qi Xia added. Yet, as an SS or level spirit ability user, Qi Xia could now enter any school with ease. There would naturally be people willing to handle the procedures for him. Since the principal of First University had tried to bully and coerce their family, Qi Xia was determined to make him regret it. He would not only transfer, but transfer specifically to Second University, First University's rival. Looking at his parents, Qi Xia revealed a confident smile. Mom, Dad, don't worry. Other schools will definitely take me. In fact, they'll fight over me, because the spirit ability I awakened is SSR. SSR. Both Qi Zongheng and Qi Xia were utterly astonished, their eyes wide with disbelief. After all, SS attire spirit energy cultivators were exceedingly rare across the entire standard planet A86. Any who awakened such a talent, if they survived, would inevitably rise to become regional overlords. Moreover, they could ascend to higher stellar realms, gaining access to boundless resources and exalted status. And now, this legendary SS attire cultivator was their own son. How could they not be overjoyed? Qi Zongheng gazed at Qi Xia, his voice trembling with emotion. Xiao Xia, you truly awakened an SS attire spirit ability. Qi Xia looked at his elated parents and solemnly nodded. Yes, I have indeed awakened an SS attire spirit ability. Hearing his unequivocal confirmation, they could no longer contain themselves. They leapt and danced with unrestrained delight, laughing like children. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Our Xiao Xia has finally fulfilled his lifelong dream, to walk the path of a spirit energy cultivator. Watching their jubilant faces, Qi Xia's heart swelled with quiet joy. With diligence, he could secure prosperity for his parents and carve out the future he longed for. Just then his phone rang. The caller ID read, Principal by Jianxing. A faint smile curved Qi Xia's lips as he lifted the receiver. On the other end, the principal wasted no time. Qi Xia, have you made your decision? I expect a satisfactory answer from you. Don't narrow your own path. One mustn't be selfish. Consider the school. Consider your parents. Withdrawal is your wisest choice. As Qi Xia listened to Bai Jianxing's incessant monologue, a cold, silent laugh stirred within him. You're the one forcing me out. Don't regret it later. Principal, do you truly wish me to withdraw? Student Qi Xia, don't misconstrue the situation. You're choosing withdrawal yourself, not being compelled by us. Very well. So this is how it is to be played. Truly the epitome of hypocrisy. Understood, Principal. I will leave, but I have one condition. At the word leave, Bai Jianxing's tone instantly softened, warm and accommodating. Of course. Student Qi Xia, if you voluntarily withdraw, anything is negotiable. Qi Xia resolved to let the principal reap what he had sown, delivering with his own hands the SS attire cultivator destined for First University straight into the arms of its fiercest rival. Principal, my request is simple. Transfer me to Second University. Transfer to Second University. Yes, I'd like to try my luck there and sit for this year's university entrance examination. Hearing Qi Xia's firm affirmation, Bai Jianxing was momentarily stunned, then burst into hearty, unrestrained laughter. Excellent. Truly excellent. Student Qi Xia, your ambition fills me with genuine admiration. Agreed. Even if inter-university transfers are normally arduous, I guarantee you'll be officially enrolled at Second University by tomorrow. Do remember to sit for the entrance exam. Absolutely, without fail. Qi Xia smirked inwardly. The principal was a textbook double standard. Very well, Principal. I'll leave it in your capable hands. Ha ha ha. Of course. Rest well tonight, and await tomorrow's good news. Qi Xia ended the call, already savoring the expression that would cross by Jianxing's face once the truth dawned upon him. Midnight. Ding. Your draw count has refreshed. 1 free draw granted. As this is your first time qualifying for the draw system, a special beginner's bonus is awarded. Beginner's bonus 10 consecutive draws, guaranteed to yield at least 1 SSR card. Proceed immediately. Qi Xia was overjoyed. He hadn't expected such a generous welcome gift. And with 10 draws guaranteeing an SSR, the system felt almost humane. Yet one phrase caught his attention: proceed immediately. Did that mean the draw could be deferred? Still, under current circumstances, acquiring an SSR card to bolster his strength was imperative. Having weighed his options, Qi Xia selected draw. The draw pool blazed with radiant light, spinning violently. Congratulations. You have obtained rarity card, Ranmuri. Ranmuri. Bio, a gentle soul skilled in karate, devoted silently to protecting those closest to her. Summon store in vault. Ranmuri possessed lustrous black hair, clear luminous eyes, delicate features, and a smile both warm and healing. Qi Xia stared, momentarily taken aback. The drawn character was none other than the heroine from an Earth anime, a world entirely absent from the Zhongchan universe where no such animated narratives existed. Even if summoned, no one here would recognize her. Yet, as an rarity card, Qi Xia chose to store her in the vault. Upon doing so, a second female figure materialized in the draw pool. Congratulations. You have obtained rarity card, Gaochan. Gaochan. Bio, externally graceful, internally resolute, elegant, intelligent, and profoundly wise. Summon store in vault. Gaochan's beauty was peerless, her figure slender and poised, every glance and gesture radiating an irresistible, soul-capturing charm. Stunning, yet still in rarity card, and thus quietly stored away. A third card shimmered into view. Congratulations. You have obtained rarity card, Youngmi. Youngmi. Bio, frank and spirited, bold in speech and action, embodying both sweetness and fiery charisma. Summon store in vault. Youngmi's signature peach blossom eyes tilted upward at the corners. Her features were exquisitely defined, her figure strikingly proportioned. Qi Xia blinked in mild surprise. Wasn't this the famed celebrity Youngmi? Without hesitation, he stored her too. A fourth card emerged. Congratulations. You have obtained rarity card, Xiaohe. Xiaohe. Bio, appearing flirtatious and unrestrained, yet fiercely loyal and deeply devoted at heart. Summon store in vault. Xiaohe wore a white off-shoulder top adorned with subtle patterns paired with jeans, her figure lithe and alluring, her long peach-colored hair cascading down her back. This was Qi Xia's first rarity draw, yet he still opted to store her away. A fifth card appeared. Congratulations. You have obtained rarity card, Yung Yuni. Bio, gentle and nurturing, exceptionally gifted at private instruction and caring for others. Summon store in vault. Yung Yuni possessed refined features and a gracefully sculpted figure. The first 5 cards were all breathtakingly beautiful women, ideal companions perhaps for comfort and warmth. Yet their combat prowess was negligible, hardly what Qi Xia needed now, so he stored each without hesitation. The 6th through 9th draws left him reeling, not merely unimpressive but elderly, overweight, or plain. Each uniformly in rarity, shrouded in near total obscurity. The SSR card must be the 10th, and he fervently hoped it would be exquisite, powerful, and kind. Qi Xia drew a slow, steadying breath, and mentally clicked next card. Congratulations. You have obtained SS rarity card. Istef. The card features a stunning woman with ice blue hair, a voluptuous figure dressed in a white military uniform, her sharp gaze infused with allure, surrounded by an aura of frost. Qi Xia couldn't help but gasp. He didn't expect the SSR card to be the Queen of Ice, Istef. This was bad, as he knew Istef's personality. She was definitely a war maniac, hard to deal with. Would you like to summon the SSR card, Istef? The prompt popped up again, and with no other choice, Qi Xia could only select yes. The temperature in the room suddenly dropped, and tiny crystals formed in the air. A beam of ice blue light surged from the card, coalescing into a human form before Qi Xia. As the light dissipated, a tall woman with ice blue hair cascading to her waist appeared in the room. She was even more beautiful and more dangerous than the card depicted. Qi Xia immediately checked Istef's information. Name Istef. Rank SSR. Level 5, same level as the host. Race Barutus. Appearance 95 out of 100. Figure 96 out of 100. Partner Qi Xia. Development rate 0. Gene unlock rate 90. Skills: Ice Manipulation, Moko Body, Tempering, General of the Ice, Storm, Winter's Withering. Specialties: Super Strong Body Techniques, Mastery of Weapons, Leadership, Talent, Strategic, Expert, Sharp, Intuition. Description: She highly esteems power, believes in the law of the weak are prey to the strong, acts ruthlessly and decisively, shows no mercy to enemies, and possesses a fervor for battle. Only the strong can pique her interest, and she has a strong desire for control. Qi Xia was surprised to find that Death's gene unlock rate was as high as 90, truly a being at the pinnacle of the world. As for what the development rate meant, he couldn't understand. Death's piercing blue eyes scanned the surroundings, eventually landing on Qi Xia with a look of scrutiny and curiosity. "Are you the one who summoned me?" Her voice was as cold as ice and snow, yet unexpectedly melodious. Qi Xia was slightly taken aback. System prompt: all summon characters are defaulted to be the hosts, but the host must win their hearts through personal charm and strength. That's fine, but saves me the trouble of explanation. Yes, Death, I summoned you. You do look quite handsome, but right now you are not worthy of this position. You are too weak. This was Qi Xia's first close encounter with such a beautiful woman, making him somewhat nervous, but he still feigned calmness. I know you are strong, but I am confident I will surpass you in the future. Interesting. A glimmer of interest flashed in Death's eyes as her cold finger lightly tapped Qi Xia's chest. Too weak, you can't even withstand 1% of my power. Qi Xia felt a chill penetrating his being, devoid of killing intent, merely making him acutely aware of the power disparity between them. He endured the chill, looking directly into Death's eyes and firmly stated, "Give me time, I will definitely become stronger." Death let out a light laugh, a hint of appreciation in her gaze. "Very well, I like those with fighting spirit. I hope you can grow strong enough to be worthy of me." At that moment, the system prompt chimed again. Summoning successful. Initial affection, level 20. Bond system activated. Interaction can enhance bond levels, gaining bond energy. Bond energy can be used to analyze and upgrade skills and abilities. Qi Xia was delighted to see this prompt. In the final cosmos, there are many types of abilities for spiritual practitioners. His heroic spirit summoning belongs to the Legion leader type, which is an extremely rare spiritual ability. To unleash the power of the heroic spirit, the spiritual practitioner must provide spiritual energy. The amount of spiritual energy is related to the practitioner's gene unlock rate. The higher the unlock rate, the stronger the spiritual energy. However, Qi Xia's current gene unlock rate was only 0.6, which was definitely insufficient to support his death skills. Fortunately, the system's bond system could help him grow stronger as well. This way he could better complement his death. But how could this bond be enhanced? After some thought, he decided to give it a try. Death, you must be hungry after arriving, let me get you something to eat. As Qi Xia spoke, he turned and rummaged through a bag to pull out a cup of instant noodles. Death casually nodded, her gaze sweeping across the small room, then looking out the window at the world beyond, her brow slightly furrowing, her tone laced with a hint of disdain. This world feels very weak. Qi Xia didn't respond, focusing instead on preparing the noodles. Death's attention was drawn to the steaming cup of noodles as she displayed a rare hint of curiosity. What is this? The smell is quite unique. This is called instant noodles. It's convenient and tasty. Oh. Death raised an eyebrow, showing some interest. She leaned forward slightly, seemingly wanting to see it more clearly. Qi Xia smiled, gently pointing to the lid. We still need to wait 5 minutes for the noodles to soften for the best taste. Fine, I will wait and see. During these 5 minutes, Death remained silent, sitting quietly beside him, her gaze occasionally falling on the noodle cup before quickly shifting away as if just passing the time. Qi Xia didn't disturb her, silently watching the time. Finally, the 5 minutes were up. Qi Xia lifted the lid and a richer aroma wafted out. He pulled out a fork from the side and handed it over. All right, give it a try. Death took the fork, speared a noodle, blew on it to cool it, and then placed it in her mouth. She chewed a few times, a glimmer of approval flashing in her eyes, then speared a large mouthful along with the dehydrated vegetables and swallowed. Indeed not bad. The taste is not bad, and the most important thing is that it's convenient, fitting the practical standard perfectly. Seeing her eat so earnestly, Qi Xia sighed in relief. It seemed the instant noodles suited her taste. Just then a crisp system prompt rang in Qi Xia's mind. Ding. Death's affection level 2, bond energy 2. Current affection level 22, bond energy 2. Qi Xia was delighted, as he expected. Catering to her tastes was indeed effective. Death quickly finished the entire cup of instant noodles, leaving very little broth. She put down the fork, wiped her mouth with the back of her hand, restored her previous dominant demeanor, and looked at Qi Xia, speaking softly. I need to rest. As she spoke, she walked into Qi Xia's room. Qi Xia was taken aback and felt awkward about going in to sleep with Death. Sure, he replied, turning to search for something to use as a mattress in the corner. Death observed his hesitance to approach and said nothing, walking straight to the bedside, removing her outer coat and lying down, closing her eyes, seemingly satisfied with this temporary territory. Lying on the floor covered with a blanket, Qi Xia pondered that since he was catering to her taste, he needed to satisfy Death even more. What Death loved the most was battle. The next day in the morning, Qi Xia's parents left early to return to the factory for a week of work. He prepared breakfast and was about to call out to Death. Death walked out of her room just in time, her gaze falling on the breakfast on the table. She raised an eyebrow, walked over, and picked up a piece of toast, taking a bite. The taste is decent, more refined than yesterday's instant noodles. Qi Xia smiled, deciding to throw out the idea from last night. It's just a home-cooked meal. By the way, I know a place that you might find interesting. Oh, what place? Don't you like fighting? I want to take you to see a dungeon. The unfamiliar term piqued Isdeth's interest. She set down her milk cup and stood up. Are you sure you can let me fight to my heart's content? You'll find out when we get there. I guarantee there will be things you want to fight. Qi Xia explained no further and grabbed his coat. Let's go. Isdeth didn't ask further and simply followed. For her, as long as there was a possibility of battle, it didn't matter where they went. The two took a taxi to the beginner dungeon hall in the city center. This place is specifically open for beginners, with a spacious hall bustling, with people, mostly new players, gathered in small groups to form teams, discussing which dungeon monsters were easy to defeat and which dropped valuable materials. These are all the lowest level dungeons that beginners can enter, and they're not very difficult. Qi Xia quietly explained to Isdeth, these are the free entry opportunities I've accumulated just in time to use them. When people around saw Isdeth, they couldn't help but look at her a few more times. Her beauty and aura were too striking, making it hard for others to approach. Qi Xia had no intention of finding teammates and walked directly to the teleportation array, swiping his card. A series of dungeon options popped up on the screen. He chose the forest dungeon recommended for beginners and turned to Isdeth, saying this one should be good. Oh, let's try. Isdeth leaned in to take a look, immediately dissatisfied, saying recommended for beginners. You're insulting me. I'll pick the hardest one. But my level and gene unlock rate are too low and my spiritual energy isn't enough to support you in a pro. Before Qi Xia could finish, a chilling aura emanated from Isdeth. Don't underestimate me. Qi Xia was quite helpless, thinking that as an SSR, Isdeth should have no trouble dealing with dungeons of this level. If it really didn't work out, it would just be a wasted opportunity, and he could choose to exit later. After all, this was a dungeon designed for beginners and could be exited at any time. He looked around and had no choice but to grit his teeth and choose the high difficulty dungeon. High difficulty dungeon, Undead Army Zone, level limit level 5, level 20. Number limit none. The light of the teleportation array faded, and as Qi Xia steadied himself, he was startled by the scene before him. The atmospheric pressure in the high-level dungeon was noticeably different, with the air filled with energy fluctuations several times denser than in the beginner area. In the distance, the sound of metal clashing faintly reached his ears. Is this it? Isdeth glanced around, her dissatisfaction unmasked. Compared to the battlefield in the northern frozen lands, this is like child's play. Before Qi Xia could respond, the dense forest ahead suddenly shook, and dozens of soldiers clad in rusted ancient armor marched out in formation. The infantry wielded broad swords, and the spearmen held glimmering spear tips with ghostly blue death energy seeping through the gaps in their armor. Evidently, they were the undead warriors of the dungeon. Undead Infantry LV 10, Undead Spearman LV 10, Infantry Commander LV 20 kill. The leading infantry soldier roared, and the entire unit surged forward like a tide, their steps so synchronized they seemed to be controlled by invisible strings, the sound of armor clashing echoing in the forest, creating a tremendous sense of pressure. Qi Xia had never witnessed such a formation and instinctively clenched his fists. At that moment, Isdeth stepped forward, her silver hair billowing in the gentle breeze of the forest. She didn't even glance at the soldiers charging at the front. She simply raised her right hand casually, and faint white frost began to swirl around her fingertips. Too slow. Before her words faded, a bone-chilling coldness suddenly erupted. Centered around her, visible ice shards rapidly spread out at a speed too fast for anyone to react. The charging undead soldiers found their bodies encased in a thick layer of solid ice midway through their charge, from their toes to their helmets, even the patterns on their weapons frozen clearly. Crack. Isdeth lightly flicked her fingers, and the ice shell shattered with a sound. Dozens of suits of armor, along with the undead inside, turned into a pile of sparkling shards, not even a whiff of dark energy escaping. Qi Xia watched in astonishment, only now recalling that she was capable of freezing rivers and sweeping battlefields. Dealing with these dungeon minions was like a dimensional strike. But before he could breathe a sigh of relief, more dense footsteps echoed from deeper in the forest. This time, over 100 undead soldiers surged out, even mixed in with a few knights riding skeletal warhorses, their long spears like a forest blocking out the sky. Undead Cavalry LV 18, Undead Warhorse LV 18. Qi Xia suddenly turned pale, feeling as if a large portion of his already limited spiritual energy was violently drained, and his legs felt a bit weak. Spiritual energy. That last attack was too draining. He was just a novice with a gene unlock rate of 0.6, and his spiritual energy reserves were already thin. Isdeth's previous strike seemed effortless, but had indirectly drained most of his spiritual energy. What I just did was merely a casual ice control. It wasn't even considered a skill, and you already faltered. Tisk, you're pretty useless. Isdeth glanced back at him, her expression devoid of warmth. You can't even withstand this level of power, and still want to lead me into tough battles. Complaints aside, she didn't stop her movements. Instead, she drew out a western sword from her waist, the blade slender, yet radiating a chilling light, clearly not an ordinary weapon. Having used her ice abilities just to make it easier, she now seemed to be interested in flexing her muscles. Watch closely, this is what true combat looks like. As her words fell, her figure had already dashed out like a wraith. Facing the oncoming undead soldiers, her steps were so light it seemed less like a charge and more like dancing on the edge of a blade. The glint of her sword flickered. Each slash landed precisely in the gaps of the armor, avoiding the hard plates, while striking at the core of the undead. She sidestepped a spear thrust, effortlessly lifting her sword to send the opponent's helmet flying. Just as the knight's warhorse raised its front hooves, she leaped onto the horse's back, spinning in midair, her blade sweeping down, cleaving the knight and horse in two. Her movements flowed like water, carrying a sense of cruel beauty, as if she wasn't in a battle, but performing a grand spectacle. In front of her, over 100 undead soldiers crumbled like paper, not even managing to touch the hem of her clothing. In just a few minutes, a wave fell with broken weapons and shattered armor scattered across the ground. Experience points are rising. Qi Xia stared at the panel that popped up before him, astonished to see his level rapidly increasing from level 5 to level 8, while his death's level also reached 8. So strong. Too strong. But he had no time to celebrate as he saw his death, exhilarated by the kills, charging deeper into the dungeon. There were faint signs of even stronger energy fluctuations emanating from that direction, clearly where the boss was located. Wait. It's death. Qi Xia hurriedly shouted, forcing his weak body to catch up. The boss inside isn't easy to deal with. My spiritual energy is running low. If you use a big move again, I won't be able to hold on. But his death seemed not to have heard her, figure vanishing into the depths of the thicket, leaving only a series of crisp sword strikes and the wails of the undead. His death. Deep within the dense forest stood the crumbling remains of a stone fortress shrouded in shadow. There atop its shattered ramparts loomed the undead general. Standing 2 meters tall, he wore heavy dark purple armor. In his grip rested a colossal axe taller than himself, its blade crusted with long-dried black blood. His level indicator glowed clearly. Undead General LV-30. A puny human dares trespass upon this general's domain. His voice grated like rusted iron plates grinding together, while ghostly green flames flickered hollowly within his eye sockets. Still merely an 8th-rank girl. Truly ignorant of heaven's height and earth's depth. Isdeth tilted her head upward, a cold, disdainful smile curling at the corner of her lips. The stark contrast between her level 8 and the boss's level 30 burned with ironic brilliance. She remained utterly unperturbed, not even tightening her grip on the rapier. Too much talk. Dare to die. The undead general roared, raising his massive arm. From the shadows encircling the fortress, over 20 elite guards surged forth, their weapons shimmering with crimson light. Undead guard LV-20, worthless rabble. In a blur of motion, Isdeth charged forward, her stride faster than before, and in the blink of an eye, every last guard lay slain. Throughout the entire engagement, she did not unleash a single iota of ice-based power, relying solely on swordsmanship and physical mastery to end the battle. The ghostly flames in the undead general's eyes flared violently, startled by her impossible speed. This woman possesses true skill. Without hesitation, he leapt down from the fortress summit, his great axe cleaving the air with a thunderous shriek as it descended toward Isdeth's head. Before the blade struck ground, compressed wind carved a deep fissure into the earth, hurling shards of stone skyward. Qi Xia watched from afar, heart hammering against his throat. Even the sheer aura of a level 30 boss's full power strike left him breathless and powerless to resist. Yet Isdeth stood rooted in place, that same icy smirk playing upon her lips. Only at the very instant the axe hovered mere inches from her skull did she slowly raise her rapier, its slender tip rising to meet the descending blade precisely at its center. Clang! A deafening clash of metal shook the forest, trees trembled, and a visible shockwave erupted outward from the two figures, sending pebbles scattering like startled birds. The undead general froze, stunned. His axe, capable of splitting boulders asunder, had been effortlessly arrested by that slender, elegant rapier. How can your strength possibly be so immense? Her smirk deepened. How could you know it was impossible, unless you tried? Before the words fully faded, her wrist twisted sharply. Her rapier suddenly coiled with a sinister, spiraling force. The undead general felt an irresistible torque surge up the haft of his axe. His hands went numb, and, against all reason, the mighty weapon was wrenched aside, opening a fatal gap in his guard. Now, her rapier flashed like falling starlight, slipping seamlessly through the seam between his armor plate. Roar! A guttural, agonized scream tore from his throat as thick black mist gushed from beneath his armor. Staggering backward, he crashed heavily to the ground. He writhed, struggling to rise, only to realize the black mist at his wound was rapidly dissipating, his life force ebbing away with each pulse of the blade. Impossible. I have guarded this place for 100 years. His voice dwindled to a whisper, then dissolved entirely into swirling ash, leaving behind only gleaming equipment scattered across the earth. Qi Xia absorbed the experience. His level instantly surged to level 10. Level 8. Using swordsmanship alone, slaying a level 30 boss. He swallowed hard, suddenly recalling a line that had briefly flashed across his system interface. Genetic unlock rate 90. Was this the hallmark of a peerless sovereign? Even with his level, artificially suppressed raw physical might and consummate combat artistry allowed him to overwhelm foes leagues beyond his rank. Isdeth sheathed her rapier and nudged the fallen armor with her boot. Boring. The high-tier dungeon had been cleared successfully. Reward calculation commenced. Acquired 888 spirit stones. Acquired heaven-splitting great axe. Acquired silver longsword. Acquired undead materials. Qi Xia joyfully stored all rewards within his innate spatial repository. This haul was nothing short of extraordinary. 99% of loot dropped from high-tier dungeons was exceedingly rare. Moreover, leveling up enhanced one's spiritual energy and core attributes, and enabled future use of specialized gear and inscribed runes. Ding. Detected hosts dungeon run with Isdeth. Bond energy 10. Current bond energy 14. White light flared from the teleportation array, depositing Qi Xia and Isdeth at the exit of the dungeon hall. The previously bustling chatter hushed abruptly. Dozens of gazes converged upon them, filled with astonishment, confusion, and quiet scrutiny. Two people emerged from a high-tier dungeon. Judging by their uniforms, they're students from First Academy. How is that possible? Their completion time was absurdly short. I once spent nearly an hour clearing a mid-tier dungeon with a 5-person squad. Perhaps some noble scion escorted by a private trainer for rapid leveling. I'm utterly envious. Envy for what? Merely leveling up. At their core, spiritual adepts are defined not by rank, but by genetic unlock rate. Precisely. Murmurs swelled like tide, yet Qi Xia paid them no mind. Turning to Isdeth, his voice brimmed with eager anticipation. Isdeth, shall we run it again? I still have several dungeon entries remaining. He didn't finish before she cut him off, voice glacial. Boring. Her gaze swept dismissively over the nearby low-tier dungeon entrances, eyes alight with contempt. These pathetic arenas cannot even warm me up. What purpose lies in repeating them? This sovereign seeks stronger adversaries. Stronger adversaries. Where could such foes possibly exist? High-tier dungeons represent the absolute limit accessible here. To enter higher echelons, both of us must grow far stronger first. Isdeth arched a brow, her tone unyielding, commanding. Make no mistake, it is not we who must grow stronger. It is you. This sovereign strength requires no such crude dungeons for cultivation. Qi Xia knew her words held absolute truth. To confront a level 30 boss Hedon at level 8 defied all natural order. Her combat prowess existed on an entirely different plane. Yet he refused to be led blindly by her will. Nor could he afford to lose her as an unparalleled ally. Meeting her proud, defiant gaze, he spoke with deliberate resolve. Isdeth, I acknowledge my current weakness, but you were summoned by me, bound to me by covenant. Our fates are intertwined. I understand your yearning for greater challenges, but at present I lack even the authority to enter higher-tier dungeons, let alone approach true masters. Isdeth raised a brow, her fingers unconsciously tracing the rapier's hilt, her expression shifting subtly toward measured appraisal. So, she held his gaze unflinchingly. Therefore I require your aid to ascend swiftly. Once I possess sufficient strength, I will take you to more perilous realms, to seek opponents worthy of you. Otherwise, even if you encountered a true master, do you truly believe my meager spiritual energy could sustain you in full combat? We are bound as one. Should I falter, your power remains shackled, unable to unfurl its full majesty. Qi Xia knew this gambit carried risk. Isdeth's temperament brooked no challenge lightly. Unexpectedly, Isdeth laughed, a low, rich sound laced with amusement, acknowledgement, and a subtle, almost imperceptible flicker of admiration. How intriguing. You've grown far more tolerable than that cringing, subservient creature you were moments ago. Ding. Isdeth's favor 2, bond energy 2. Current favor 26, bond energy 6. She stepped forward, towering over him, her voice retaining its regal command. Yet the edge of impatience had softened. Very well. This sovereign shall accompany you once more. I grant you time to grow, an opportunity to prove you are worthy of this sovereign's weight. She paused, a glint of frost piercing her gaze. But remember, do not keep this sovereign waiting too long. Relief flooded Qi Xia's chest. He nodded vigorously. I will not disappoint you. He understood this was but a temporary truce. Isdeth's recognition was never freely given. He must seize this chance, ascending without delay. Only when he stood shoulder to shoulder with her in true parity would their covenant become one of equals, not subjugation beneath her overwhelming dominance. For now, with 10 dungeon entries remaining, he would drain every last drop of value from the high-tier dungeons. Isdeth. The murmurs in the dungeon hall never ceased, for Qi Xia and Isdeath kept shuttling between the teleportation array and the entrance to high-tier dungeons. They're going in again. How many times is this? The 8th? Or 9th? Good heavens, clearing high-tier dungeons feels like strolling through a vegetable market. They've only been out for less than 5 minutes. This efficiency. Are they even human? Goodness, in and out again. That's astonishingly fierce. Hey buddy, where the hell did you just dump me? Is the pace that fast? When the pair emerged from the teleportation array for the 10th time, the hall fell utterly silent. Every gaze was fixed upon them, wide-eyed and stunned. Qi Xia's level had risen to 25, and his spatial storage was brimming with high-grade materials and equipment. These 10 dungeon runs had also increased his bond energy to 116 points. He had now exhausted all his daily dungeon entries and had no reason to remain. Just as Qi Xia and Isdeath prepared to depart, a commotion suddenly erupted at the entrance to the secret realm hall. A young man entered, 18 years old, with slicked back, gleaming hair and impeccably tailored school uniform. His expression radiated hauteur, and 4 or 5 fawning underlings trailed behind him. Isn't that Fan Ji from No. 1 Academy? The prodigy of Yongjiang City. I heard his genetic unlock rate has already reached 1.3. No wonder he's so arrogant. His talent truly speaks for itself. Moreover, his awakened spiritual ability is rank, and his family background is exceptionally formidable. Tisk tisk tsk, wealth and power. It's enough to make one envious to death. Admiring whispers filled the air around him. Fan Ji clearly reveled in such attention, lifting his chin even higher as his gaze swept idly across the hall, only to freeze abruptly upon landing on Isdeath. His eyes instantly lit up, arrogance replaced by sheer awe. Isdeath's icy, commanding aura, the poised elegance of a mature woman, her silvery hair, snow-pale skin, and striking figure, hit him precisely where he was most vulnerable. After a stunned pause, he hastily adjusted his collar and strode forward with what he believed was his most debonair smile, leaving his underlings standing rooted in place. Honorable lady, greetings. Fan Ji deliberately softened his tone, striving for gentlemanly charm. My name is Fan Ji. I'm a student at No. 1 Academy, and I'd be honored to make your acquaintance. At the sound of his voice, Isdeath merely lifted her eyelids with detached indifference, her gaze as cold and unfeeling as if assessing a stone blocking her path. This sovereign has no desire to know you. Fan Ji's smile stiffened. He hadn't expected such utter dismissal, but unwilling to lose face before so many witnesses, he stepped half a pace closer. My genetic unlock rate stands at 1.3, of my spiritual ability is rank, and my family. Leave. A single glacial word cut him off, crystal clear, echoing through the hushed hall. Isdeath didn't grant him a second glance. Her impatience hung palpable and unmasked in her voice. If you do not leave now, I will kill you. Fan Ji stood frozen, his face flushing crimson, then draining to pallor. He was Yongjiang City's prodigy. Everywhere he went, he was feted and flattered. When had he ever endured such treatment? All eyes now converged upon him, some astonished, others barely suppressing laughter, still more watching with amused anticipation. Humiliation burned across his cheeks, igniting sudden fury. He pointed a trembling finger at Isdeath and spat. You wretched whore, do you even know who I am? Dare speak to me like that? You must have grown tired of living. Before he could finish, Isdeath struck, backhand swift and merciless. Slap. A sharp ringing crack echoed through the hall. Fan Ji flew sideways, crashing hard onto the floor several meters away, unconscious before he could even groan. Absolute silence descended upon the hall. Everyone stood dumbstruck. Young Master Fan Ji. Only then did his underlings snap out of their daze, scrambling toward him, shaking, shouting, pleading. But Fan Ji remained utterly unresponsive, clearly stunned senseless by that single blow. One underling, summoning courage, dared lift his head and glare at Isdeath, his voice quavering. You dared strike young Master Fan Ji. Do you know the stature of his family? Isdeath slowly raised her eyes. Her frigid gaze swept over the trembling group. Utter one more word, and you shall share his fate. The underlings instantly fell mute, not daring to linger another second. They hoisted Fan Ji's unconscious form and fled the dungeon hall in abject disgrace. Qi Xia stood nearby, quietly impressed by Isdeath's restraint. She hadn't killed Fan Ji outright. Shall we go for lunch? At the mention of food, the frost on Isdeath's features seemed to soften, just slightly. What local delicacy do you intend to introduce me to today? I'll take you to try an authentic regional specialty, laughingstock or river snail rice noodles. Qi Xia led Isdeath down an aged alleyway where a rich, unmistakable aroma wafted from its mouth, fermented bamboo, shoots mingling with the pungent, savory heat of snail broth. Bold, complex, instantly recognizable. This is it, the shop. A 30-year-old institution hailed by locals as the most authentic lauafingstock in the city. Qi Xia gestured toward a small storefront nestled deep in the alley, its wooden sign reading time-honored lauafingstock. A short queue already formed outside. Isdeath frowned faintly, her nostrils flaring. The scent was indeed peculiar, not conventionally pleasant, carrying a subtle, almost sour tang. But she did not recoil nor betray disgust as most would. Years ago on the northern battlefield, she had consumed far more unorthodox fare: roots, bark, raw meat, frozen rations. Her tolerance for flavor surpassed that of any ordinary person. Shall we try it? Qi Xia asked, smiling. Very well, Isdeth replied, inclining her head. They joined the queue, ordered 2 premium bowls, each loaded with fried egg, fried tofu skin, and tender snail meat, and were served promptly. Steam rose from the steaming broth, its surface glistening with a layer of scarlet chili oil. Pickled bamboo shoots, wood ear mushrooms, sour beans, and crispy peanuts overflowed atop the noodles. Isdeth picked up her chopsticks, lifted a strand of rice noodles, blew gently, and brought them to her lips. How is it? Qi Xia watched her closely, anticipation bright in his eyes. Isdeth said nothing, merely lifted another bite, this time sipping broth along with it. Her manner of eating was not delicate, yet possessed a crisp, decisive vigor. In moments, she had devoured most of the noodles and toppings, and even drank nearly half the bowl of broth. The taste is strange, but the more one eats, the more intriguing it becomes. That's All-Heaven's allure. It's utterly addictive. Indeed, it's excellent, far more flavorful than those refined yet insipid dishes. Next time I'll take you to try another local specialty, Lao Yu Fun. After that we'll be true friends. Isdeth lifted her gaze. Amusement flickered just briefly in her eyes. Oh, then I shall certainly try it. Ding. Isdeth's favor increased by 2. Bond energy increased. Current favor 28. Bond energy 118. Qi Xia smiled faintly, paid 42 credit points via his terminal, and departed the shop with Isdeth. Back home, he immediately began practicing the Taiji Chi induction art, striving to raise his genetic unlock rate further. At that moment, the system's voice chimed. Asta has detected that the host's bond energy has surpassed 100, allowing for the optimization of Tai Chi manipulation technique using 100 points of bond energy. Qi Xia felt a surge of joy, or it has finally arrived. The Tai Chi manipulation technique is a fundamental skill that when practiced well can gradually unlock one's genes. However, he had only reached 0.6 in 3 years, falling short of the university's minimum requirement of 1. With the system's ability to optimize, he immediately chose yes. 100 bond energy has been successfully deducted. Optimizing. Optimization complete. The Tai Chi manipulation technique has reached perfection and the host has fully mastered it. A wave of warmth surged through him, making the previously obscure incantations and movements crystal clear. Qi Xia walked to the living room, raising his hands, bending his knees, and turning. Each move flowed seamlessly. He could distinctly feel the surrounding energy flowing into his body, with each motion merging with his own spiritual power, leaving him in an indescribable state of comfort. After completing a set, he suddenly opened his eyes, the numbers on the panel causing his heart to race. Gene, unlocking rate 0.607. It actually increased by 0.1 directly. He couldn't believe it. Previously, he had barely managed a 0.01 increase after a month of hard practice. He immediately performed another set, his movements becoming more fluid and the energy flow smoother. As he finished, the panel displayed 0.708. Excited, he became lost in his enthusiasm and proceeded to perform a third and fourth set. However, after completing those, there was no change. It wasn't until the fifth set when a stronger energy surged in that the panel finally refreshed 0.809. Just 0.1 more to reach 1. Qi Xia's eyes lit up, eager to practice again, but suddenly he felt a wave of exhaustion wash over him, cold sweat soaking his back. His spiritual power was nearly depleted and his mind was fatigued. His legs felt weak, almost giving way. So this is the consumption at the perfect level. He leaned against the wall, panting. Despite the exhaustion, he felt an undeniable excitement. At this rate, breaking through 1 is just around the corner. Just then, footsteps echoed from the staircase. Asta came down, freshly bathed, her blue hair damp and cascading over her shoulders, droplets still falling from the tips. She wore the loose pajamas Qi Xia had found for her, the hem reaching only to her thighs, exposing her long fair legs with the neckline slightly open, revealing a hint of her delicate collarbone. Qi Xia instinctively paused, then snapped back to reality, his cheeks flushing as he quickly averted his gaze. Eyes drying her hair, noticed his expression and raised an eyebrow. What are you looking at? Nothing. I just finished practicing Qi manipulation technique and am a bit tired. She sat down by the sofa, casually tossing the towel aside, her gaze sweeping over his sweat-drenched clothes and reddened face, a hint of a smirk playing at the corners of her mouth. You got tired just from practicing a basic skill. It seems you really need to work on your physique. Qi Xia caught a whiff of Asta fragrance and felt flustered, scratching his head without retorting. Compared to Asta, his physique was indeed far inferior. However, Asta shifted her focus back to him. The movements you practiced earlier were definitely more stable than before. It seems this rudimentary method is somewhat. Qi Xia felt a surge of joy. It seemed she had indeed seen him practicing upstairs. He was about to say something more when Asta interrupted him. Enough of this, you smell terrible from sweat. Go take a shower, and after that cut the fruits on the table. Qi Xia wanted to say something, but upon lifting his gaze he was met with her long flawless legs, leaving him momentarily speechless. Oh, okay. He quickly replied, turning to head towards the bathroom, his steps feeling surprisingly light. Watching his somewhat hurried figure, Asta picked up an apple, her fingers absent-mindedly brushing against the skin. Even though the faint energy fluctuations surrounding him during his practice were not strong, they were exceptionally pure, indicating he was not entirely useless. She bit into the apple, her gaze contemplative. Perhaps this kid really could become stronger quickly. In the afternoon, Qi Xia gritted his teeth and practiced 10 more sets of Qi manipulation technique, finally collapsing onto the sofa when the panel displayed Gene unlocking rate 1-0. He lay there exhausted, yet unable to suppress his excitement. He had finally reached the entry standard for university. At that moment, his phone rang, suddenly displaying the name Bian Jianren, the principal he detested by Jianxing. Qi Xia. The voice on the other end of the line was deliberately slowed, laced with a hint of unnoticeable pride. The school has already completed your transfer procedures. You can head directly to the second university now. Okay, thank you, principal. He'll head over right away. He kept his expression neutral, though he secretly scoffed at the veiled plot succeeded in the conversation. After hanging up, Qi Xia got up to take a shower and change into clean clothes. Stepping out of the bathroom, he found Asta lounging on the sofa, clutching a bag of chips, her eyes glued to the television screen. On the screen was a melodramatic romance drama, where the female lead was crying profusely. Qi Xia was momentarily taken aback, then burst into laughter. The battlefield queen has such a side to her. Eyes him heading out for a bit. Asta didn't even lift her head, merely nodding absent-mindedly, her gaze still fixed on the screen, mechanically sending chips to her mouth. Qi Xia shook his head and turned to leave, taking a taxi straight to the second university. Upon arriving at the principal's office, he lightly knocked on the door. Please enter. A somewhat booming voice came from inside. Pushing the door open, he found a slightly plump middle-aged man sitting behind the desk. It was Zhu Debiao, the principal of the second university. Hello, Principal Zhu. I'm Qi Xia, the transfer student from the first high school. Zhu Debiao put down his pen, sizing him up with a few glances. Oh, so you are Qi Xia. By the way, Bai Jiansheng went to great lengths to send you here. Qi Xia chuckled lightly, not responding, simply taking out his transfer certificate. Principal Zhu, I've completed the procedures at the first university, so I should be considered a student of the second university now, right? Zhu Debiao took the certificate and examined it. Although he felt somewhat displeased about this pushed-over student, he still nodded. That's right, with complete procedures, you are now part of the second university. Then can I sign up for the university entrance exam? Of course, participating in the university entrance exam is the right of every student. Zhu Debiao leaned back in his chair, his tone shifting slightly to a more admonishing tone. However, to be honest, if you haven't awakened your spiritual energy by now, passing the entrance exam to get into a good university might be quite difficult. Qi Xia smiled slightly, his tone calm, yet confident. Principal Zhu, I have actually awakened my spiritual energy. Oh. Zhu Debiao raised an eyebrow. He had many grievances about Qi Xia's transfer. It was clear to anyone that Bai Jiansheng wanted to rid himself of Qi Xia a burden, but there was nothing he could do. Now that Qi Xia had awakened his spiritual energy, it certainly wasn't too bad of a result. However, he didn't hold high hopes for Qi Xia's awakened spiritual energy. After all, his parents were both inept, and awakening so late meant that the level of his spiritual energy wouldn't be good. If he could have a level spiritual energy, he would be thanking heaven and earth. Out of curiosity, he quietly inquired, what level of spiritual energy have you awakened? Qi Xia met his gaze and slowly uttered words that would be unforgettable for him throughout his life. I awakened an SSR. What? Zhu Debiao suddenly sat up straight from his chair, the carefree expression on his face instantly vanishing, replaced by shock. What did you say? SSR. It's known that this year not a single student in Yongjiang City has awakened SSR level spiritual energy. Bai Jiansheng actually kicked such a treasure to him. It was simply a stroke of fortune. Qi Xia didn't hold back and immediately operated on the terminal, bringing up his simple personal information. It clearly stated spiritual energy SSR, heroic spirit summoning. People may lie, but the terminal does not. It truly was the legendary SSR. Zhu Debiao's gaze toward Qi Xia transformed instantly, the previous displeasure dissipating, replaced by an even warmer smile. Quick, sit down. Student Qi Xia. He rushed to the office door and shouted down the hallway, Teacher Li. Teacher Li, hurry and bring me my treasured Longjing brew, a pot of good tea. Yes, the one in the glass jar. Teacher Li outside was momentarily taken aback, then quickly responded, all right, Principal Zhu. He was puzzled. What kind of background did this transfer student have? He heard it was a useless person tossed over, yet how could it attract the principal's attention so much? After a while, Teacher Li entered with the tea set, carefully arranging it on the table, and soon the fragrance of tea wafted through the air. He stole a glance at Qi Xia, only to see the student calm and unremarkable, failing to detect any special traits, so he suppressed his curiosity and swiftly prepared the tea. Teacher Li, it's fine. Once the tea is brewed, you can head out to rest now and close the door behind you. Zhu Debiao waved his hand, his tone carrying an undeniable familiarity. Teacher Li's heart skipped a beat, increasingly convinced that this student was extraordinary. The principal must be avoiding others to have a private discussion. Could it be that he awakened some formidable spiritual energy? Is it SR? Or the legendary SSR? He dared not inquire further, nodding and closing the door, already beginning to ponder. If the principal knew he personally handed over a treasure especially into the hands of his archrival, he would surely regret it immensely. Zhu Debiao's face, full of flesh, smiled into folds as he personally poured a cup of tea for Qi Xia and pushed it in front of him. Student Qi Xia, try this. Oh, I've treasured it for years and usually don't dare to bring it out. Qi Xia picked up the teacup, gently took a sip, and the rich tea aroma spread across his palate. It truly was good tea. Indeed, it's quite nice. Thank you, principal. I'm glad you like it. If you enjoy it, I can pack some for you to take home, as much as you want. No need, principal. Qi Xia set down the teacup, his tone sincere. Rather than tea leaves, I would prefer some practical items. Zhu Debiao was taken aback, then quickly reacted, smacking his forehead. Look at me being so forgetful. What young person would like these? Just say what you want. As long as the school can provide it, there will be absolutely no problem. Qi Xia didn't indulge in pleasantries and directly stated qualifications for dungeons above the novice zone, the more the better. Also, I need any resource allocations the school can apply for. He understood clearly that the most needed resources for improving strength right now were dungeon resources. With this death, around the high-level dungeons in the novice zone were hardly a concern, only higher-level dungeon areas would suffice. Zhu Debiao's eyes lit up. This student was indeed straightforward, not indulging in pretenses. No problem. The school's resources will be prioritized for you. Scholarships, access to the training room, all will be of the highest standard. As for the qualifications for higher-level dungeons you want, I can arrange 20 times for black iron level and 5 times for bronze level. Beyond that, the school has nothing left. However, the monsters in dungeons above the novice zone are relatively strong, so you must act cautiously. If necessary, the school can arrange people to help you level up. Qi Xia nodded in satisfaction, then thank you, Principal Zhu. Hey, what are you thanking me for? From now on, you are the pride of our second university. If you need anything, feel free to come to me. Zhu Debiao quickly operated on the terminal, and Qi Xia's personal terminal immediately emitted a notification sound. He looked down and saw the screen clearly displaying the added dungeon qualifications: 20 times black iron level, 5 times bronze level. Next, the account balance popped up: 500 credit points, 200 spirit stones. Take these for now, and let me know if it's not enough. Principal Zhu was indeed straightforward, not dragging his feet at all. Qi Xia put away the terminal, recalling that although he had mastered the Taiji breathing technique to perfection, it was ultimately a basic method, and the speed of improvement was slowing down, so he tentatively spoke up. Principal Zhu, I have a small request. Go ahead. Do you have any higher-level Qi cultivation techniques here? Zhu Debiao slapped his forehead, realizing, oh, how could I forget this? An SSR-level spiritual energy user indeed deserves a higher-level technique. He pondered for a moment and began searching on the terminal. Our Yongjiang city is just an ordinary city, and the highest level technique we can access is this one. See if it suits you. A data stream entered Qi Xia's terminal, and the technique name was clearly Xian Yuan breathing technique. Qi Xia glanced at the introduction, his pupils slightly constricting. He had seen this technique in the classics with a market price of at least several 100,000 credit points, significantly more efficient for genetic development than the Taiji breathing technique. This is wonderful. Thank you, Principal. Compared to the honor you can bring to the school, this little thing is nothing. Zhu Debiao waved his hand, chuckling. Practice well. When the time comes for university entrance exams, get me a good ranking that's better than anything. Thank you, Principal Zhu. I will definitely work hard and not let the school down. Qi Xia bowed sincerely. Hey, that's the spirit. Zhu Debiao smiled, so wide his eyes turned into slits, chatted with Qi Xia for a bit longer, and then personally saw him off. He escorted him to the school gate, even specifically calling for his special car. Xiaozhou, take this student Qi Xia home, drive safely on the way. The driver quickly responded, certainly, Principal. The teachers and students passing by were stunned. When did Principal Zhu become so attentive to a student? Not only did he personally see him off, but he also arranged a special car for transport. What kind of background does this transfer student have? Qi Xia sat in the car and waved goodbye to Zhu Debiao through the window. Watching the car drive away, Zhu Debiao's smile instantly faded, turning to the hurriedly approaching teacher Li and speaking in a low voice. Immediately complete Qi Xia's enrollment procedures and expedite the application for the university entrance exams. There must be no mistakes. Yes, Principal. Teacher Li did not dare to be negligent and felt overjoyed. It seemed Second University had truly picked up a treasure this time. Zhu Debiao looked in the direction the car disappeared, stroking his chin, his eyes glimmering with anticipation. With such an SS or level talent, second university would undoubtedly surpass first university in this year's entrance exams. He had already begun to anticipate Qi Xia wreaking havoc during the university entrance exams, and Bai Jianxing lamenting his foolishness. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. Bai Jianxing, oh Bai Jianxing, I told you not to be so arrogant, and you didn't believe it. Now look, the arrogant will have their comeuppance, you just wait to cry. Huh. Asties in the evening. Qi Xia returned home with groceries, and as soon as he entered, he sensed a faint chill in the air. Asties was nestled on the sofa, hugging a cushion, while watching a melodrama. The leads on the screen were crying their hearts out. Without lifting her head, she continued to swipe the progress bar on the screen. What delicious food are we having today? They'll make our specialty, white-cut chicken for you soon. Qi Xia smiled as he walked into the kitchen, skillfully preparing the ingredients. With his parents often away, he had long mastered the art of home cooking. When a plate of glossy white-cut chicken was served on the table, Asties finally paused the show and leaned over to stare at the plate. You can eat chicken like this here, not braised or fried. She picked up a piece, dipped it in ginger paste, and put it in her mouth, her eyes instantly brightening. This flavor is quite refreshing, and the meat is so tender. If you like it, eat more. Qi Xia served her a bowl of rice and sat down to eat as well. Seeing Asties enjoying the meal with a smile, he quietly nodded in his heart. Indeed, the way to a person's heart is through their stomach. Ding. Estes favorability 2, bond energy 2. When the system notification echoed in his mind, the curve of Qi Xia's lips widened. After finishing the meal, Asties returned to the sofa with a plate of sliced mangoes, continuing to wipe her tears while watching the screen. Qi Xia cleaned up the dishes, changed into loose clothes, and went to the balcony to practice. He first practiced the Xian Yuan breathing technique, holding his breath, calming his qi, circulating his energy. After 10 minutes of effort, he felt a heaviness in his chest, unable to sense any qi. While he wasn't gifted, he couldn't practice it. Forget it, I'm just not cut out for this. He waved his hand dismissively and switched back to the familiar Tai Chi breathing technique. He raised his hands, performed the cloud hands and wild horses mane, the movements slow and graceful, yet much smoother than before. Although progress was slow, every time he calmed down to practice, he felt invigorated. Asties glanced at him through the glass door, a slight smile tugging at the corners of her mouth as she turned back to watch the romantic melodrama. Qi Xia became engrossed in his practice, unable to stop until the system voice rang out. Ding. The card draw count has refreshed, and you can obtain 1 free draw. Would you like to draw immediately? Without a second thought, he chose yes. Congratulations. You have obtained N-card Shizuka. Shizuka, kind and cute with excellent grades. Some in store and warehouse. Qi Xia looked at Shizuka, who had bright black eyes, 2 small braids, and a slender figure, shaking his head helplessly. Although Shizuka was cute, unfortunately, she was just an N-card and could only be stored in the warehouse. After resting for a moment, he continued practicing until deep into the night. Wiping off his sweat, he pulled up the panel. Gene unlock rate 1. 5. Although it increased as slowly as a snail, he couldn't help but smile at that string of numbers. At that moment, Asties had already gone to bed. He dragged his leaden legs back to the living room, collapsed onto the sofa, and fell asleep. The next day in the morning, Qi Xia and Asties arrived at the dungeon hall for professionals. This place was vastly different from the previous beginner's hall, filled with adults whose presences were steady, each bearing traces of combat, their psychic energy fluctuations noticeably stronger. At just 20 years old, Qi Xia had a tall stature, but his youthful face still couldn't be hidden. Beside him, Asties became the center of attention, with silver hair and snow-white skin, a hot figure, and an indescribable charm in her cold demeanor, drawing many psychic users to glance her way. Excuse me, miss, would you like to team up? Our group is about to tackle a bronze-level dungeon, and we're short on a range position. A man carrying a longbow approached, his tone probing. Asties didn't even lift her eyelids, and the temperature around her suddenly dropped a few degrees. The man, sensing her disinterest, quickly fell silent and stepped back. Qi Xia was already accustomed to such scenes, walking straight to the empty counter and pulling up the product list. He gritted his teeth and bought 20 basic psychic recovery potions. These potions worked slowly, only replenishing psychic energy bit by bit, but they were cheap. Even so, 20 potions still cost over 20,000 credit points, nearly half of his current assets. Why buy this junk? Asties glanced at the potion box in his hand, her tone laced with disdain. You don't need these to deal with those weaklings. Just in case. Qi Xia smiled, stuffing the potions into his backpack. If we encounter a tough opponent, I can't let you be hindered due to a lack of psychic energy. Asties didn't say anything further, her gaze softening for a moment. As the two approached the dungeon teleport area, someone else came up to propose a team. Hey little brother, bringing your girlfriend into a dungeon. The Black Iron level high dungeon is tough. Our team has a tank and a healer, let's go together. No thanks. Qi Xia politely declined. He arrived in front of the Black Iron level dungeon, and without asking Asties, directly chose the high level dungeon, an abandoned armory. With a flash of white light, the two found themselves in a ruined factory. The air was thick with the smell of machine oil and rust, and the sound of machinery echoed in the distance, with several mechanical monsters resembling spiders crouching on broken walls, their crimson optical lenses fixed on them. Mechanical Spider LV-30. Qi Xia saw them and began to explain. Astes, be careful, the monsters in black iron-level dungeons can use skills. They are much stronger than the monsters in the novice area. Astes drew her Western sword, a glimmer of interest flashing in her eyes. Just the right opportunity to move around. Before she finished speaking, those mechanical spiders suddenly shot out threads towards the two. The threads glinted with metallic sheen, clearly laced with poison. Qi Xia's heart tightened. Just as he intended to dodge, he saw Astes flicker, her sword light flashing as she instantly severed the threads. At the same time, she slapped her palm against the ground, cold air spreading and freezing the mechanical spider's tracks. Take care of them, don't waste time. Qi Xia steadied his mind, recalling the energy circulation method from Tai Chi breathing technique, channeling his psychic energy into his dagger and charging towards the nearest mechanical spider. This time he no longer hid behind Astes. If he wanted to grow stronger, he had to wield the knife himself. Holding the dagger tightly, Qi Xia stepped forward, fiercely thrusting the dagger with brute force towards the mechanical spider's optical lens. Thud! The dagger pierced in the mechanical spider's red light, extinguishing instantly, its body twitching twice before coming to a stop. There's another one. Qi Xia's eyes lit up. Without waiting for Astes to act, he turned and charged towards another mechanical spider frozen against the wall, replicating his earlier success and stabbing through its core. Watching the two mechanical spiders dissolve into energy light points, Qi Xia couldn't help but grin. This was the first time he personally defeated a level 30 monster. He couldn't be happier. Reckless behavior. Astes' voice rang from behind him, tinged with disdain. Your slashes are without technique and your thrusts rely solely on brute force. If I hadn't frozen them, do you think you'd have been able to handle them so easily? Qi Xia rubbed the back of his head, not refuting her. Sorry, mainly because I haven't learned proper swordsmanship. Once we get out, I'll teach you a few basics. Astes said, stepping forward. You can't keep swinging around like a brute, embarrassing me. Qi Xia felt a surge of joy in his heart and hurried to catch up. That would be great. Astes glanced at him, a barely perceptible smile gracing her lips. Finally, not just a coward hiding behind. Let's go, there's more ahead. Coming, he shouted, following Astes into the darkness. Isdeth ventured deeper into the abandoned factory, where mechanical monsters became increasingly dense, transforming from spider forms into humanoid mechas and even mechanical dogs dragging cannon barrels. As she swung her sword to slay them, Isdeth did not forget to remind Qi Xia. Aim for the joints. That's where the energy flows are weakest, saving you tenfold the effort compared to hacking at the... Qi Xia listened attentively, trying to stab a mecha at its knee joint. Sure enough, sparks flew and the mecha collapsed to the ground instantly. His eyes brightened as he replicated the move to take down two more, gradually developing a rhythm. Isdeth sidestepped a laser and countered with a sword strike that split the charging mechanical dog in half. Don't just use your arms when swinging the blade. Sink your waist and twist your hips, channel all your strength into a single motion. Following her advice, Qi Xia felt a significant increase in his swing's power, able to cleave through the exterior of lower-tier mechas. Though his battle skills improved, facing level 35 monsters still required Isdeth's assistance. Soon they passed through the last rusty iron gate, revealing a massive mechanical dinosaur in the open area at the center of the factory, towering 3 stories high. Its body was constructed from heavy alloys with a dense array of gun barrels along its back, and its eye sockets glowed with a unique green radiation. The level panel prominently displayed, Radiation Mechanical Dragon LV-45. Is this the boss? Qi Xia gasped, feeling the overwhelming pressure making his palms sweat. The mechanical dragon seemed to sense the intruders, suddenly raising its head and emitting a piercing electronic roar. In the next moment, it opened its massive jaws, unleashing a twisted electromagnetic beam aimed directly at the two, causing the air to tremble as it passed. Stand behind me. Isdeth pushed Qi Xia back and waved her right hand. Ice shield. In an instant, a towering ice wall erupted from the ground, firmly blocking the electromagnetic beam. With a resounding boom, the ice wall developed a layer of white frost on its surface, but remained unmoved. Just a petty trick, Isdeth scoffed, quickly dashing out her toes, touching the top of the ice wall to propel herself upward. The Western sword traced a brilliant arc in the sunlight, imbued with chilling air as it thrust towards the mechanical dragon's singular eye, the core of its being. The mechanical dragon roared, swinging its massive claw to swat her away, but she deftly evaded it. The sword light descended precisely, piercing the eye, causing the green radiation energy to spiral into chaos, momentarily freezing the dragon's movements. Now's the time. Qi Xia reacted quickly, gathering all his strength to hurl the dagger at the joint connecting the mechanical dragon's limbs. The dagger sank in, triggering a series of explosions. Seizing the moment of the mechanical dragon's imbalance, Isdeth flipped onto its back, continuously slashing with her sword to sever all the gun barrels. Finally, she stabbed through the mechanical dragon's power core. Roar! The mechanical dragon emitted a mournful cry, its colossal body collapsing with a crash, transforming into countless energy shards and equipment items. Their levels had surged to 27. Qi Xia watched as this death leaped down from the remains of the mechanical dragon, her breath still steady, unable to suppress his admiration. Once again you defeated it solely with swordsmanship. You're truly formidable. His death wiped the dust from her sword and cast him a glance. This is just the beginning. Once your gene unlock rate is higher, I will teach you even more powerful combat tech. Qi Xia nodded vigorously, filled with motivation, knowing that on a planet of the standard level E86, there was no one as powerful as his death. To learn from it was akin to taking a shortcut. Just as Qi Xia was lost in thought, a sharp alarm suddenly rang in his ears. The frequency of the buzzing intensified, causing his eardrums to throb painfully. He looked up abruptly, witnessing the entire dungeon space's sky beginning to warp, the originally dull shades quickly saturated by a bizarre blood-red hue, as if drenched in thick blood. The ground of the ruins trembled, and the remains of the mechanical dragon that had been slain suddenly emitted a piercing metallic screech, its severed limbs autonomously writhing and reassembling. What sent chills down their spines was the sudden rupture of a blood-red fissure in the sky, from which countless dark red energy threads surged forth, penetrating the remnants of the mechanical dragon. Beneath the scarlet heavens, the mechanical dragon's body expanded and transformed at a visible rate. The alloy shell intertwined and fused with the blood-colored energy. The original dinosaur form stretched and reshaped, ultimately transforming into a colossal humanoid figure. It retained the mechanical dragon's wings on its back, with viscous red light flowing from its joints, and the level panel frantically fluctuated before finally stabilizing at mutated blood energy mechanical overlord LV-58. Roar! It let out a deafening roar, shaking the entire space. Qi Xia felt a pain in his chest, almost losing his balance. Is this a dungeon mutation? Qi Xia's face turned pale. He had seen related records. There was a 1 in 10,000 chance of a dungeon monster merging and evolving. The evolved monster's level would skyrocket, far surpassing the original boss. Isdeth gripped her western sword tightly, a glint of excitement flashing in her eyes. Interesting, much stronger than the previous weakling. The blood energy mechanical overlord turned its head, glowing with red light, its voice resembling the synchronized roar of countless machines. Humans, you should feel honored to witness my evolved form. Honored? Isdeth scoffed, instantly rushing forward. Once you're dead, you can say that in hell. Arrogant. The blood energy mechanical overlord roared in anger, flapping its wings as several beams of blood-red laser shot from its palms, sweeping towards Isdeth with a scorching aura. Ice shield. Isdeth slapped her palm against the ground, freezing air coalescing into a massive ice wall. The lasers struck the ice wall, erupting in a dazzling burst of light, but were forcefully blocked. However, this time cracks rapidly spread across the surface of the ice wall. The power of level 58 was evidently a notch above the previous mechanical dragon. The blood energy mechanical overlord flickered, its massive fist smashing towards Isdeth with the sound of wind breaking. Die! Isdeth's eyes narrowed. Oh, she chose not to take it heed, and instead pushing off the ground with her toes to narrowly evade the attack. The fist struck the ground, causing the entire ruin to collapse in a section, debris flying everywhere. Qi Xia felt his heart race. He knew charging in now would only cause chaos, so he quickly began taking potions to replenish his spiritual energy. As Isdeth spoke, Qi Xia felt the spiritual power within him being drawn away by an invisible vortex, instantly surging into Isdeth's body. His legs went weak, nearly collapsing to the ground as darkness clouded his vision, making it difficult for him to stand. Suddenly, the cold aura surrounding Isdeth surged, and the water vapor in the air wildly condensed, forming a swirling vortex of ice mist before her. The vortex spun faster and faster, ultimately transforming into a gigantic ice sphere with a diameter of several dozen meters, emanating a chilling aura capable of freezing souls. Isdeth's voice carried a chilling smile as she pointed her fingertip forward. The massive ice sphere shot out like a cannonball, its speed astonishing. The blood energy mechanical overlord attempted to flap its wings to ascend and evade, but discovered that the air around it had already been frozen by Isdeth into a viscous substance. Every flap felt like it was sinking in mud, its movements instantaneously slowed. No, it watched helplessly as the ice sphere engulfed it, the thick ice walls closing and trapping. It's just a block of ice. Do you think you can trap me? The mechanical overlord roared frantically within the ice sphere, crashing against the ice walls, its level 58 strength causing the sphere to tremble violently. Isdeth's lips curled into a cruel arc as her fingertips summoned power once more. The real show is just... Suddenly, countless sharp ice spikes erupted from within the ice sphere, piercing towards the mechanical overlord from all directions with no blind spots. These ice spikes infused with a spiraling force were not only incredibly sharp, but also contained a bone-chilling coldness. Each piercing could freeze its internal energy circuits. A piercing scream emanated from within the ice sphere, accompanied by the ear-splitting sound of metal being torn apart. The cracks on the surface of the ice sphere gradually stopped spreading, instead being frozen and reinforced by the blood-colored energy seeping out. Qi Xia leaned against a broken wall, panting heavily, watching the enormous ice sphere tremble, continuously feeling nothing but shock within. Was this the true strength of his death? If it weren't for his insufficient spiritual power, his death might have already killed the mechanical overlord in an instant. After a while, the screams gradually subsided, and the ice sphere stopped shaking. Isdeth waved her hand, and with a sharp crack, the massive ice sphere shattered, countless ice shards scattering across the ground. The once mighty mechanical overlord had transformed into a heap of remains covered in ice spikes, its core completely extinguished with no signs of life remaining. Qi Xia and Isdeth's levels instantly rose to level 29. Acquired 18888 Spirit Stones, acquired Blood Energy Core, acquired World-Breaking Mechanical Blade. Isdeth casually flicked her hand, as if she had simply performed a trivial task. She walked up to Qi Xia and kicked his leg. Can you still walk? Qi Xia finally came to his senses, propped himself up against the wall, and shook his head. I'm fine. Just a bit exhausted. Useless. Isdeth expressed her disdain, yet slowed her pace to wait for him to catch up. Let's go, it's time to leave. Qi Xia watched Isdeth's back, clenching his fists. One day he would no longer be the burden in need of her protection, the one from whom she drained her spiritual power. The teleportation's white light shone again, and this time there were no mishaps. After emerging from the Blood Energy Mechanical Overlord's dungeon, Qi Xia was almost half supported by Isdeth. He collapsed onto a resting chair in the hall, downing 2 spiritual power recovery potions, just to barely recover. Can we continue? Isdeth stood beside him, her breath still steady. Qi Xia looked at the terminal displaying 19 remaining opportunities for high-tier black iron dungeons, and gritted his teeth. Yes. He knew that such a high-intensity dungeon opportunity was rare, especially with Isdeth around. It was almost a free upgrade. Missing it would be a huge loss. As long as there were no unexpected mutations, there would be no problems whatsoever. In the time that followed, the two became a fixed scenery in the professional district's dungeon hall. The white light of the teleportation array flickered on and off frequently. Each time they emerged, Qi Xia's level panel steadily increased. Level 30, 32, 33. By the end of the 20th dungeon, their levels had reached 43. Isdeth's favorability reached 36, and the bond energy was 226. As the teleportation's white light shone, the sky had already turned completely dark. Isdeth stepped out, her tone neutral. That's enough for today. Qi Xia looked up at Isdeth, her silver hair glinting coldly under the hall lights, a hint of barely noticeable fatigue on her face, yet she still stood tall. Isdeth glanced at him, said nothing, and turned to walk out of the hall. Qi Xia hurriedly followed, feeling a strange discomfort as he watched her back. He was still too weak. After returning home, Qi Xia forced his weary body into the kitchen. He prepared the local specialty of Yongjiang City, lemon duck. The smoke rose and the sound of the knife clashing echoed in the kitchen. Although his arms were too sore to lift and his back was drenched in sweat, the thought of Isdeth eating made him feel invigorated. Dinner is ready. Qi Xia brought the lemon duck to the table, where a colorful array of dishes had already been laid out, the sour and spicy aromas blending together exceptionally tempting. Isdeth walked over, looking at the table full of dishes, raising an eyebrow. You made so much. Aren't you tired? A little tired, but seeing you eat makes it worth it. Qi Xia smiled, his sincerity fully visible in his eyes. Isdeth's heart inexplicably skipped a beat. She averted her gaze, picked up her chopsticks, and grabbed a piece of lemon duck. The sour and spicy flavor exploded on her tongue, surprisingly delicious. She said nothing further, quietly starting to eat. Ding. Isdeth's favorability 4, bond energy 4, current favorability 40, bond energy 228. When the system notification sounded, Qi Xia was slightly taken aback. This time the increase in favorability was more than any previous occasion. He watched Isdeth's slightly lowered eyelids, unable to suppress the smile creeping up his lips. After finishing the meal, Isdeth stood up to leave. Pausing beside him, she said softly, "If you're too exhausted today, don't push yourself, or rest well. We can talk about cultivation tomorrow." Without waiting for Qi Xia's response, she walked into the living room, turned on the television, and resumed watching that melodramatic idol drama. Qi Xia felt warm inside. It turned out she still cared about him. After tidying up the dishes, he sat on the sofa and opened the system panel. He tried to use the bond energy to optimize the Xian Yuan breathing technique, but a prompt popped up: insufficient energy, unable to optimize the perfect realm. Is it still that far off? He sighed, feeling somewhat helpless. Although Isdeth urged him to rest, he simply couldn't stand idly. He dragged his weary body and began practicing the Tai Chi energy drawing technique. Once, twice, 3 times. The movements slowed down, sweat dripping on the floor, creating small patches of moisture. It wasn't until the 10th repetition that the panel finally flashed. Gene, unlock rate 1. 516. Forget it'll call it a day. Qi Xia halted his movements, exhausted to the point of collapsing on the ground. He gazed at the stars above, panting for a while, before slowly getting up to take a shower. At that moment, the system voice sounded. Ding. Card draw opportunities have refreshed, and you can obtain 1 free draw. Would you like to draw immediately? Eyes after some thought decided to draw a card. Congratulations, you have obtained N-card Ranbing. Ranbing has a neat head of short white hair and deep blue eyes that are both lively and resolute, exuding a striking presence. Another beauty, but unfortunately still an N-card. Qi Xia stored the card in his warehouse and went to wash up and rest. Just then a message arrived on the terminal. Son, happy birthday. Qi Xia saw the message and smiled slightly. Today is his birthday, and he turns to, thanks, Mom. I forgive you and Dad for not being able to celebrate my birthday with me. When we have a holiday, you'll make it up. Okay, you should rest early too. The next morning, as Qi Xia opened his eyes, he saw Asta already standing in the living room, holding 2 wooden swords, clearly having woken up long ago. No more dungeon runs today. She tossed one of the wooden swords over. Yesterday, I saw you swinging the knife like a headless fly. Oh, let's practice combat techniques first. Qi Xia caught the wooden sword weighted in his hands and smiled wryly. Practice against you? I'm afraid I'm going to get beaten even worse. It's good that you know that. Asta raised an eyebrow and assumed a stance. But if you want to get stronger, you need to learn to take a hit first. Come on. Qi Xia took a deep breath, recalling the techniques he learned in the dungeon yesterday, and lunged forward with the sword. Asta easily sidestepped, and with a flick of her wrist, the hilt of the wooden sword lightly tapped his arm. Too slow. Qi Xia rubbed his arm, adjusted his stance, and attacked again, only to be struck on the back. Your power is too scattered. Lower your waist. Your steps are chaotic. Stand firm. Your wrist lacks strength. How do you expect to slash someone if you can't even grip the sword properly? The living room was filled with the sounds of wooden swords clashing and Ista's reprimands. Qi Xia tried his hardest, but couldn't even touch the hem of Ista's clothes, only ending up with bruises on his head, forehead, arms, and back, wincing in pain. You're too weak. Asta put away her sword and looked at Qi Xia, who was panting heavily, her tone still harsh. But you're a bit better than yesterday. Oh, at least you know to look for flaws now. Qi Xia slumped on the ground, holding his head and feeling both amused and helpless. This isn't about finding flaws, it's about finding a beating. Asta glanced at him without retorting, looking at the sun outside. That's enough for now. I'll go make lunch. Huh, but I have all these bumps on my head. Bumps won't affect your cooking. Asta tossed the wooden sword aside and walked straight to the sofa. Hurry up, I'm hungry. Qi Xia, helpless, could only enter the kitchen with a head full of battle scars. He raised his arm while chopping vegetables, which caused pain, and he grimaced while working hard for a long time, finally managing to prepare 2 dishes and a soup. After lunch, the two took a short break and continued their practice. By the afternoon, Qi Xia, covered in bruises, limped out to buy groceries. Asta watched his retreating figure, the corners of her mouth curling into a barely perceptible arc. It seems that this guy isn't completely hopeless. Ding. Ista's affection level 4, bond energy 4. Current affection level 44, bond energy 232. Qi Xia was in the kitchen handling a fresh fish when the terminal suddenly vibrated, displaying the name Principal Zhu on the screen. He wiped his hands and answered the call. Qi Xia, your enrollment documents and university exam registration procedures have been completed smoothly, and the electronic version has been sent to your terminal. Remember to check it. Thank you, Principal Zhu. Haha, no need to be polite. By the way, are you planning to attend classes later? Qi Xia thought for a moment. His focus was entirely on improving his strength, so classroom knowledge held little significance for him. Principal Zhu, I won't be registering at school to avoid delaying my training. Oh, that's fine. A training is important. I've passed your terminal number to the homeroom teacher. If there are any exam arrangements or important notices, he'll contact you directly. Okay, thank you, Principal. No problem. Just focus on your training. The school will arrange everything for you. If anything comes up, just contact me directly. No need to be polite with the teachers. All right, thank you, Teacher Lee. No troubles at all. Just do your best. We rely on you to bring honor to us. Teacher Lee sent a few more encouraging words before ending the conversation. Shortly after, when the terminal rang again, Qi Xia saw the words despicable person on the screen, a trace of coldness flickering in his eyes. He slid to answer the call, and on the other end by Jiansheng's voice was deliberately warm, even carrying a hint of feigned intimacy. Qi Xia, how smoothly was the process at the second university? Qi Xia sneered inwardly. No one would know better than this principal about how smooth the process was. This act was merely an attempt to probe. It's going quite smoothly. The second university has already completed all my enrollment documents, and I am now officially a student of the second university. That's wonderful. Congratulations. Bai Jiansheng's laughter carried a hint of insincerity, and he quickly changed the subject to feign concern. By the way, have you sorted out the university exam details? Is there Any threshold at the second university. If there are difficulties, just let me know, and I will have Principal Zhu make sure you are accommodated. If others heard by Jiansheng's generous words, they would surely give him a thumbs up for being righteous. However, Qi Xia knew that Bai Jiansheng was clearly afraid that the second university would follow the same path as he once did, using Qi Xia's incompetence as an excuse to deny him participation in the university exam. A smirk crossed Qi Xia's face as he spoke calmly. No need to trouble yourself. Principal Zhu is very fair and treats everyone equally. He didn't dismiss me and even helped me with the registration procedures for the university exam. Bai Jiansheng could clearly hear the undertone in Qi Xia's words, but rather than getting angry, he was rather pleased. Haha, that's great, that's great. As long as you can participate in the university exam, that's all that matters. Prepare well for it. Good luck with the university exam. Haha. After saying this, he hung up laughing heartily. Qi Xia put down the terminal, the calm on his face vanishing in an instant, leaving only a cold smile. Laugh all you want now. The happier you are today, the more regret you'll feel when the university exam results come out. It's death. The next morning, Qi Xia and Isdeth arrived at the Adventurer Dungeon Hall. The bronze tier section on the first floor no longer met their needs, so they ascended directly to the second floor. The atmosphere here was markedly tenser than downstairs. Passing adepts exuded deeper, more grounded spiritual energy, and their gear gleamed with superior craftsmanship. Qi Xia first headed to the supply zone, purchasing 20 spirit energy restoration potions for 2,000 credits. Glancing at his terminal balance, he couldn't help but mutter a rueful lament about poverty. He realized he'd need to set aside time soon to list the equipment and artifacts he'd acquired for sale online, turning them into much-needed credits. He and Isdeth made their way to the bronze-tier dungeon teleportation zone, only to find a long queue snaking ahead packed with dozens of adventurers. Isdeth's glacial blue eyes swept over the waiting crowd, arrogant, impatient, disdainful. Fine shards of ice already shimmered at her fingertips. These people dare block the path of this sovereign and waste time queuing. Preposterous. Before the final syllable left her lips, she had already stepped forward, clearly intending to disperse the crowd by force. Seeing this, Qi Xia hastily reached out and restrained her voice urgent. Isdeth, don't act rashly. This sovereign abhors waiting. Then, let's form a party. Don't rush, we'll be in shortly. Isdeth paused mid-motion. Her flawless frost-bitten visage softened not at all. Only a faint disapproving hum escaped her nose. Qi Xia quickly opened the terminal's party-finding interface to scan for active recruitments. The page refreshed and instantly displayed a recruitment notice: Advanced Bronze Tier Dungeon, Umbral Forest, 1 slot open. Minimum level 35. Tank and DPS preferred. Apply now. Qi Xia was level 43, exactly qualified. He submitted an application adding the note bringing a divine spirit, high DPS capability. Within 10 seconds it was accepted. A party invite followed. Brother, fast response. Hurry to teleportation array 3, we're waiting. Following the terminal's guidance, Qi Xia led Isdeth to array 3, where 4 figures stood at the front, 2 men, 2 women. Greetings, I'm Qi Xia, accompanied by my divine spirit, he announced as he stepped forward. All 4 pairs of eyes locked onto Isdeth and froze momentarily breathless. A girl's eyes widened in awe. Oh, she whispered, wow. Sister, you're absolutely stunning. Beside her, a tall young man cleared his throat awkwardly and scratched his head. Apologies, this is my classmate Wu Qiuqiu. She's just refreshingly candid. Turning to Qi Xia, he extended his hand. I'm team leader Li Kai. These are Shi Xian and Han Ing. We're all from Jiangxing University. Qi Xia. He introduced himself succinctly, then gestured toward Isdeth beside him. This is my divine spirit, Isdeth. Isdeth merely cast them a detached glance, silent. Her glacial aura was so palpable that Wu Qiuqiu, who'd been poised to speak again, instinctively clamped her mouth shut. Li Kai, unfazed, smiled warmly to ease the tension. No worries. Divine spirits often carry an air of aloofness. It's our turn now. Let's enter the dungeon. As they stepped into the teleportation array, Li Kai adjusted his terminal. This dungeon has an unusual mechanic. 5-member parties gain a 20% experience bonus. One of our original members withdrew last minute. Your application popped up just as we posted the call. Quite fortuitous. Lucky for me, then Qi Xia replied with a light smile. Wu Qiuqiu sidled closer, glancing repeatedly at Isdeth, her tone brimming with quiet pride. Little brother Qi Xia, you're only level 43. This advanced bronze tier dungeon isn't trivial. Stick close to us when things get intense. We're all nearing level 55. Guiding you won't be an issue. Qi Xia offered a gentle smile. Thank you. He'd almost added that no special accommodation was needed, but seeing Wu Qiuqiu's earnest enthusiasm, he held his tongue. No need for thanks. We're all students after all. Mutual support is only natural. Wu Qiuqiu waved dismissively, then turned back to Isdeth, eyes alight with curiosity. Sister, your divine spirit must be incredibly high-level. You radiate sheer power. Isdeth emitted a cool, dismissive snort. Her eyelids didn't so much as flicker. She had no intention of replying. Wu Qiuqiu didn't flinch. She simply stuck out her tongue, then darted back to Li Kai's side to whisper, "Captain, she's so cool." Li Kai shook his head half-amazed and turned to Qi Xia. "Don't mind her. Qiuqiu means well. No ill intent." "Not at all." Qi Xia shook his head, gaze fixed on the shadow-draped forest path ahead. The air grew steadily colder, and deep within the gloom the howl of wolves echoed faintly. Umbral Wolf LV-50 Li Kai stepped forward, locking his gaze on the restless pack ahead, and addressed Qi Xia in a low, steady voice. "These umbral wolves are no trifling foes. Observe from the rear for now. You'll still earn full experience share without engaging." Wu Qiuqiu twirled her bow, its arrowhead blazing crimson, her expression smug. "Watch closely, little brother. This is my strength's spiritual ability, blazing arrow. One shot will incinerate their hide." She drew her bow, loosed the arrow, and it struck true, piercing the neck of one umbral wolf, igniting it in roaring flames. "It's not just her." Li Kai glanced toward Qi Xia, whose body now shimmered with earthy ochre light as a massive stone shield coalesced before him. Qi Xia's Shield of the Earth is also in strength ability, unyielding defense, unshakable resilience. Han Ying raised her staff, a soft emerald healing light bathed the group. "My blossoming life, though primarily supportive, is likewise strength, sustained healing guaranteed." Li Kai grinned, twin short blades materializing in his palms. "And naturally, so is mine." Qi Xia watched the radiant spiritual energies surging around the four, understanding dawned. No wonder they dared attempt a bronze-tier dungeon. They were an all-strength ensemble. A balanced formation, support, tank, range, DPS, and assassin. Li Kai fixed his gaze on the advancing umbral wolves and commanded engage. Qi Xia's Shield of the Earth surged forward, absorbing the savage lunges and bites of several wolves. Wu Qiuqiu's blazing arrows rained down from the flanks, scorching fur and flesh alike. Li Kai blurred through the shadows, emerging from darkness to deliver lethal strikes. Han Ying remained steady at the rear, weaving timely pulses of restorative light. Their coordination was seamless, offense and defense interwoven flawlessly. Within moments, 7 or 8 umbral wolves lay motionless upon the forest floor. Isdeth stood, arms crossed behind them, observing their synchronized assault, and for once spoke unprompted. "Their coordination is passable. Their strength adequate." Qi Xia turned to her, startled. This sovereign who held even heavens in contempt had just offered praise. As if reading his thoughts, Isdeth spoke coolly. "On the battlefield, those who wield their strength effectively and harmonize seamlessly with allies deserve acknowledgement. You would do well to observe closely and learn thoroughly." Qi Xia nodded. "I will." Yet a moment later, doubt flickered across his mind, and he found himself asking aloud, "And what of you? Might you not learn something from their coordination?" Isdeth scoffed, a sound edged with undisguised sovereign pride. "My strength requires no such contrivance." Her gaze lifted toward the dungeon's fathomless depths, calm, absolute, unassailable. "To deal with vermin like these, I stand alone, and that is enough." Her words hung in the chill air, final, unchallenged, irrefutable. Asta stood by as Li Kai and the others quickly finished off the remaining shadow wolves. Wu Qiuqiu approached with her bow in hand, tilting her chin towards Qi Xia. "Qi Xia, did you see that? How's my archery skill?" Qi Xia sincerely gave a thumbs up, saying, "Impressive. Your coordination is exceptional." "Of course it is." Wu Qiuqiu smiled with her eyes crinkling. "Stick close to us, and I guarantee you will level up today." "Thank you, Qiuqiu." "Hey, it's Miss Sister." Wu Qiuqiu placed her hands on her hips, puffing out her chest and deliberately putting on a stern face. "I'm only a year older than you. Calling me sister makes me sound old." Qi Xia thought, isn't Miss Sister and sister basically the same? But he still went along with her words, replying, "All right, Miss Qiuqiu." Uffed. Wu Qiuqiu couldn't help but laugh. "All right, I won't tease you anymore. Let's go kill the boss." The group continued deeper into the forest, with Li Kai leading the way while Qi Xia and Asta followed behind. "What? Do you really enjoy calling others Miss Sister?" Asta suddenly spoke up, her tone carrying an Qi Xia was taken aback. "I don't, it's just polite." "Oh, are you jealous?" Asta scoffed, her eyes filled with mockery. "You're not even qualified to make me jealous. If you want to provoke me, first improve your strength." Qi Xia helplessly shook his head, choosing not to respond. Up ahead, Wu Qiuqiu seemed to notice their conversation and turned back to smile at Qi Xia, the sunlight filtering through the leaves illuminating her face, making her look exceptionally bright. She was petite, and as she ran, her ponytail swayed, exuding a youthful and lively energy. Qi Xia glanced at her a couple of times, but didn't pay much attention, noticing that Li Kai and the others were already engaged in combat, with several shadow wolves, leaving him with nothing to do for the moment. Asta leaned against a nearby tree trunk, her silver hair glinting coldly in the shadows, her gaze fixed on the battlefield ahead, lost in thought. The wind in the woods carried the fresh scent of grass and trees, occasionally punctuated by the distant howls of wolves and the sharp sounds of clashing weapons, making it not too dull. With nothing to do, Qi Xia focused his thoughts and opened the system to claim today's free draws. "Congratulations. You have obtained our card, Wu Qiuqiu. Wu Qiuyo cheery, and outgoing proactive, and warm speaks straightforwardly. Summon deposit into warehouse. Qi Xia looked at the card depicting Wu Qiuyo, then glanced at the fighting Wu Qiuyo. Wasn't this the same person? Well, this works. But never mind, he silently stored the card in the warehouse. Suddenly Qi Xia thought of something, and immediately shook his head, quickly dismissing impure thoughts. Right now getting stronger was the priority, the other matters could wait. Asta glanced at Qi Xia beside her, noticing he had his head down, his ears slightly flushed, and his brows furrowed. What are you doing? You seem distracted. Qi Xia abruptly looked up, remembering the sultry image of Asta that had flashed in his mind, making his cheeks burn even more. Seeing Asta so close at hand made him feel shy, as if he had been caught doing something wrong, and he quickly waved his hands. Nothing. Oh really? Asta raised an eyebrow, her tone laced with clear teasing. I saw you staring at that Wu Qiuyo for quite a while. Could it be you have a crush on her? Of course not. Oh. Asta pressed on, her eyes glinting mischievously. I think you were fantasizing about her. I wasn't. Qi Xia's face turned bright red as he blurted out. I was thinking about you. As soon as he said it, both of them froze. Qi Xia wished he could find a seam in the ground to hide in. How could he have let that slip? It was all because of that sultry image of Asta in his mind that made him accidentally speak the truth. Asta was also momentarily stunned, but then a meaningful smile crept onto her lips. That smile lacked mockery, and instead carried a hint of unnoticeable softness. She did not pursue the matter further, turning her attention back to the battlefield, and quietly saying, focus the boss. Ding. Asta affection level 2. Qi Xia secretly glanced at her, noticing the contours of her profile appeared exceptionally soft in the shadows, causing his heart to inexplicably race a few beats. He scratched his head, took a deep breath, and forced himself to refocus on the dungeon. Up ahead, Li Kai was already shouting, get ready. The boss is coming. From the shadows ahead, a figure draped in a black robe slowly emerged, with a gaunt hand gripping a staff embedded with a skull surrounded by a dense aura of death. Undead Mage, LV60. Here it comes. Li Kai shouted, pointing his dual blades at the boss. Sure, Xian, take the front. Haning, be alert to dispel negative effects. Oh, Qiuyo, maintain range pressure. I'll handle the sneak damage. The four quickly formed their formation, their teamwork still seamless. Shurzin's earth shield firmly protected the entire team, while Wu Qi's flame arrows continuously bombarded the undead mage. Li Kai used shadow stealth to attack from behind occasionally. Haning kept a vigilant eye on the opponent's curse spells. The undead mage waved its staff, summoning several skeleton soldiers, but they were immediately sliced apart by Li Kai's blade energy. It then spewed forth a stream of dark green corrosive liquid, but Shurzin's shield held strong. Now's the time. Li Kai seized the opportunity, leaping up and piercing the undead mage's skull. Crack! The staff shattered, and the undead mage's black robe instantly disintegrated into countless light particles. Ding! Dungeon cleared. You have gained 2222 spirit stones, the undead core, and the noble staff. Qi Xia and Asta have both leveled up to level 44. Ding! Detected that the host has completed a dungeon run with eyes, gaining bond energy 20. Current affection level 46, bond energy 262. Qi Xia noticed the increase in bond energy, unsure if it was due to Ai's increased affection or the difference in dungeon levels. Wu Qiuyo put away her bow and arrow, smiling back at them. All done. Qi Xia, little brother, that was quick, right? Want to do another round? Qi Xia looked at Ai's, who had a neutral expression, and simply nodded. As you wish. All right then, let's do another round. Qi Xia responded. The experience from a 5-person team was indeed rich, and another run would definitely be worth it. Once again teleporting into the dungeon, the group quickly familiarized themselves and soon found themselves in front of the boss again. Before long, the undead mage fell to the ground once more. Ding! Gained experience points. The system notification sound had just started when it suddenly turned sharp. The ground began to shake violently, and the light particles from the disintegrated undead mage started to coalesce again. The black robe darkened further, and the skull atop the staff glowed a bright red with the level panel skyrocketing. Anomaly Abyssal Undead Mage LV75. Li Kai's eyes widened in shock, his expression dramatically changing. This is an anomaly. It's over. Isdeath's black robe belonging to the Abyssal Necromancer emitted a piercing laughter, as if countless dry bones were rubbing against each other. Ha ha ha. After dying so many times, I have finally awaited this day. Thank you all for helping me complete the transformation. This kindness will be well tasted by you. It suddenly raised its staff, and the skull at the top spewed forth crimson flames from its eye sockets. In an instant, the sky of the entire dungeon realm was dyed blood red as a chilling wind howled, bringing with it a thick stench of decay. Boom! The ground cracked open, and countless corpses crawled out from beneath. Among them were the remains of the shadow wolves that had been slain before, their fur mottled with decay and ghostly green flames burning in their eyes. There were also various twisted humanoid skeletons wielding rusty weapons, their joints creaking with a crisp sound. Hundreds of corpses, all at level 60. Li Kai gripped his dual blades tightly, his knuckles turning white. How can a bronze-level dungeon have such a massive wave of corpses? This is beyond what we can endure. The great earth shield of Qi Xia was already covered in cracks. He smiled bitterly, saying, "It's over, we can't forcibly teleport out of here. We're all doomed." Wu Qiuyo trembled heavily, almost unable to hold the fiery bow, tears welling in her eyes. She turned to Qi Xia, her voice choking. "Qi Xia, I'm sorry. It's all my fault for insisting on teaming up with you, otherwise you wouldn't be in this situation. You're still so young. I'm sorry." Haning gently embraced her, sighing, "Don't say that we're all spiritualists. We should have been prepared for this long ago. It's just, we didn't get to say goodbye properly." The abyssal necromancer laughed wildly behind the tide of corpses. "Are you scared now? Weren't you quite imposing when you killed me earlier? Now it's your turn to become my nourishment." Despair washed over the four. Even Li Kai slumped his shoulders as Qi Xia looked at the repeatedly apologizing Wu Qiuyo, feeling an uncomfortable sensation in his heart. He was indeed young, but weren't Wu Qiuyo and the others also very young? He slowly glanced at his death beside him, his eyes filled with resolve. His death naturally sensed Qi Xia's determination, as she said nothing, simply facing the tide of corpses and slowly walking forward. "What are you going to do?" Li Kai looked at her in shock. His death did not look at them, her gaze fixed on the abyssal necromancer, her tone icy. "Of course I'm going to slay these ugly beings. And don't get me wrong, I'm not helping you, I just don't want my reserves to die at the hands of such trash." She stepped forward and a chill erupted around her. "And thinking about dying without truly fighting. Your bones are too light. A true warrior will stand and wield their sword even if they have only one breath left." The abyssal necromancer was enraged by his death's words, its voice cold. "Just an ant dares to challenge me. It's simply seeking death." Noisy, his death raised her slender arm, overwhelming spiritual power surged forth. "Let me show you what true summoning is." General Ice Storm. With her low shout, the ground instantly froze, countless ice spikes bursting forth from the earth, forming in the cold air. They were hundreds of ice cavalry, dressed in ice armor, wielding ice spears, riding ice-sculpted warhorses, each radiating a powerful aura. What? What is this?" The laughter of the abyssal necromancer abruptly ceased, fear appearing on its face for the first time. Li Kai was dumbfounded, utterly shocked. Summoning spirits to summon spirits, or summoning so many powerful spirits at once. Shirzhen's expression was one of horror as he stammered, "No, this shouldn't be summoning spirits to summon spirits, but her own skill. If that's the case, what level of spirit is she?" Haning was filled with excitement, tears of joy streaming down her face. "No matter what it is, as long as we can be saved." Wu Qi's beautiful eyes widened, gazing at his death's back with admiration. "So it turns out sister is not only beautiful, but also so powerful." Qi Xia, on the other hand, was leaning on his knees, feeling his own spiritual energy rapidly drained away. He took out a spiritual energy recovery potion and drank it in one gulp. "Isteth, let's create a scene of chaos next." Isteth slightly lifted her chin, her eyes looking down upon the world. "Crush them. Kill." The ice cavalry shouted in unison, their voices shaking the falling leaves in the forest. They leaped upon their ice-sculpted warhorses like a white torrent, charging towards the army of corpses. The abyssal necromancer raised its staff and shouted angrily, "Tear them apart for me." Hundreds of undead corpses roared in response, their bony claws and rusty blades cutting through the air, the ghostly green flames in their eye sockets dancing wildly with reckless madness. In the next second, the two torrents collided violently. Bang! The thunderous sound of ice armor clashing with bones was deafening. The crack of ice spears piercing through bone seems the dull sound of hooves crushing skulls, and the screams of the undead intertwining with the shouts of the ice cavalry, instantly transforming this forest into a bloody battlefield. One ice cavalryman thrust his spear straight in, accurately piercing the throat of a shadow wolf's corpse, and with a flick threw it away, knocking over several skeletons behind. Another ice cavalryman swung his ice sword, and in the flashing sword light, several human skeletons had their limbs severed, twitching on the ground before turning to ash. Although the number of undead corpses was vast, they were far inferior to the ice cavalry in terms of elite quality. They moved slowly, and their coordination was chaotic. Often as they charged forward, they were smashed to pieces by the formation of the ice cavalry. Even more frightening was the coldness emanating from the ice cavalry. As soon as the undead corpses were scratched by the ice spears or ice swords, their joints would rapidly freeze, their movements becoming increasingly sluggish, ultimately leading to an easy death. Impossible. How could my children? The abyssal necromancer watched as the tide of corpses was continuously crushed, its body trembling violently beneath the black robe, its voice filled with disbelief and terror. Li Kai and the others were left dumbfounded, believing they were surely doomed, yet the battle situation had turned around in an instant. "This is amazing. We're saved." Wu Qiuyo instinctively tightened her grip on her bow and arrow, only to realize she couldn't even get involved. The ice cavalry's charge was too overwhelming, leaving the undead corpses no chance to approach them. Qi Xia gripped his long sword tightly, his gaze fixed on the battlefield. He noticed that the ice cavalry were not blindly charging forward, but maintaining a tight formation. The front line used ice shields to block attacks, while the rear line struck with ice spears, their coordination as seamless as a true army. This was clearly the result of his death controlling them with her spiritual power, yet they exhibited such strong tactical acumen, demonstrating her exquisite mastery over power and outstanding military talent. They're breaking. They're retreating. Han pointed ahead, watching as the undead corpses finally began to collapse under the continuous assault of the ice cavalry, no longer attacking, but attempting to flee. Chase! Death ordered coldly. The ice cavalry pursued closely, their ice spears and swords continually harvesting the fleeing undead. Before long, the battlefield was completely cleared of corpses, leaving only melted ice water and a few wisps of dissipating black smoke. The abyssal necromancer gazed at the empty battlefield, utterly shocked. The ice cavalry surrounded it while Death stepped forward, walking towards it. This farce should come to an end. The abyssal necromancer witnessed the collapse of the corpse, tied a flicker of madness flashing in his eyes as he fiercely plunged his staff into the ground. Don't think I have only this means. Try this. 10,000 bones devouring souls. The skull at the tip of the staff erupted with blinding red light, and countless black bone needles surged from beneath the ground, shooting towards the ice cavalry like a torrential rain. These bone needles, imbued with a powerful corrosive force, emitted black smoke the moment they touched the ice armor, and several ice cavalrymen were directly dissolved into vapor. Interesting. Then let me show you another use of the ice cavalry. Death's gaze sharpened, and the cold air around her suddenly surged, vaporizing over 100 ice cavalrymen in an instant. A violent blizzard instantly swirled in the sky, forming a vortex of snow and ice several dozen meters in diameter. Wherever it passed, the air froze into crystal, and even light seemed to be solidified. The abyssal necromancer, terrified, attempted to retreat, only to find his feet firmly glued to the ground by the ice. The frigid cold spread through his bones, freezing his limbs, torso, and every inch of his body beneath the black robe. No, don't. In just a few seconds, the once arrogant abyssal necromancer transformed into a white, frost-covered ice sculpture. It's over. Death flicked her finger lightly, and a tiny shard of ice shot out, precisely striking the ice sculpture. Crack! The crisp sound of shattering echoed as the ice sculpture began to fracture from the top, the cracks swiftly spreading across its entire form. Boom! With a loud bang, the entire ice sculpture shattered into countless tiny ice crystals, dissolving completely in the blizzard, leaving not even a trace of death energy. As the blizzard gradually subsided, the instant space returned to its original dimness, with only a thin layer of ice remaining on the ground. Li Kai and his three companions stood agape, unable to speak for a long time. They had seen strength before, but never something so powerful. A level 75 mutated boss was effortlessly taken down by the level 44 Death in a single move. Qi Xia's spiritual power was completely drained, feeling weak, but at least they had successfully cleared the dungeon. Ding! Dungeon cleared. Gained 42222 spirit stones, gained abyssal necromancer core, gained skull staff. Qi Xia and Death's levels increased to level 45. Ding! Detected that the host has cleared the dungeon with Death, once gaining bond energy 20, current favorability 46, bond energy 282. Death turned to look at the still dazed for her, tone indifferent. What are you still dawdling for? The dungeon is cleared, aren't you leaving? The four suddenly awakened from their stupor and hurried to catch up. Wu Qiuqiu looked at Death's back and whispered to Qi Xia, "What exactly is your spirit? It's too powerful. Could it be your awakened spiritual energy, is SSR?" As soon as this was said, Li Kai, Qi Xia, and Han all turned to Qi Xia, their eyes filled with curiosity and anticipation. Qi Xia knew that with Death's immense strength, even a fool could guess that his spiritual energy was SSR, so he had no intention of hiding it, nor did he plan to treat them as fools. Yes, it is indeed SSR. No way. Qi Xia exclaimed quietly, excitedly slapping his thigh. I struck it lucky, truly the legendary SSR. No wonder your spirit is so mighty. I just said I would take you along, but looking back it's quite ridiculous. Thank goodness you were here, otherwise we would definitely have perished inside. Qi Xia, you are our savior. If there's anything in the future, just ask us for help. We will never refuse, even if it means climbing a mountain of knives or walking through fire. Qi Xia looked at their sincere expressions, feeling quite warmed inside. These several strength spiritual energy users not only possessed good strength, but also had upright characters. Even when they had fallen into despair earlier, they did not blame each other nor vent their frustrations on him, truly deserving of deep friendship. Don't say that we are all friends and helping each other is only right. Upon hearing this, they were all taken aback, then joyfully laughed. Haha, right, we're all friends. I sure Xian also have a friend who is an SSR spiritual energy user. Awesome. Qi Xia smiled. By the way, I plan to run this dungeon 3 more times. Are you all in? Yes, of course. Wu Qiuqiu immediately raised her hand, her eyes shining. Being able to team up with an SSR expert is something I could only dream of. Sure Xian revealed a simple smile. Please take me along, expert. Isteth looked at them and had no objections, only saying calmly, let's make it quick. A white light enveloped everyone, teleporting them back to the hall. In the next 3 runs of the dungeon, the group cooperated even more seamlessly. Li Kai and his 3 companions no longer hurried to show off as before, but actively coordinated with Qi Xia and Isteth's rhythm. Sure Xian focused on defense, Han Ying ensured sustainability, while Wu Qiuqiu and Li Kai were responsible for clearing small monsters, creating output space for the main force. To be precise, they were helping Qi Xia practice, allowing his sword skills to improve further. After finishing 3 runs of the dungeon, Qi Xia and Isteth's levels had skyrocketed to level 48. Current favorability 50, a bond energy 342. Today was truly worth it. Wu Qiuqiu looked at Qi Xia, grinning from ear to ear. Li Kai took out his terminal. Qi Xia, let's add each other as friends and keep in touch in the future. Okay. Qi Xia and they all added each other as friends, chatted for a while, then waved goodbye. See you next time. Wu Qiuqiu waved, smiling as she followed Li Kai and the others out. Qi Xia watched their backs, then glanced at Isteth beside him, feeling a sense of inexplicable fulfillment. Isteth shot him a glance. What are you grinning about? It's nothing, just feel that having friends to run dungeons with isn't too bad. Friends. Isteth murmured softly, not saying anything further, turning to walk out of the hall. Qi Xia quickly followed. At this moment, the system voice sounded. Ding. Detected that the host's bond energy has surpassed 300. You can use 300 points of bond energy to optimize Xian Yuan breathing technique. Yes, no, finally it's here. He chose yes without hesitation. Successfully deducted 300 bond. Current favorability 50, a bond energy 42. Optimizing. Optimization complete. Xian Yuan breathing technique has reached the perfect realm and the host has completely mastered it. A warm current instantly surged throughout his body. The previously obscure incantation and movements became incredibly clear. Qi Xia felt a surge of joy and quickened his pace. He could hardly wait to return and practice the Xian Yuan breathing technique to see what surprises awaited him. Stepping out of the dungeon hall, Qi Xia hurriedly led AC Des to the corner where an old establishment specializing in Lao Yufan was located. I promise to let you taste authentic Lao Yufani. This shop has been around for 30 years and serves the most genuine flavor. The small shop was modest, even somewhat old-fashioned, yet it was kept clean. As AC Des entered, her cold and noble demeanor made the simple surroundings appear a touch elegant. The owner was a friendly middle-aged man who smiled as he served 2 bowls of steaming hot Lao Yufan along with an extra serving of fried peanuts. Enjoy your meal, handsome and beautiful customers. Thank you, boss. After expressing his gratitude, Qi Xia looked at the fragrant rice noodles in the bowl and urged, try it quickly. The sour bamboo shoots are the soul of the dish. AC Des picked up a bite with her chopsticks. The spicy and sour aroma made her slightly raise her eyebrows. She said nothing but increased her pace in slurping the noodles. Ding. AC Des favorability increased by 2. Current favorability 52, bond energy 42. Upon returning home, Qi Xia eagerly began to practice the Xian Yuan breathing technique. He focused his mind and regulated his spiritual energy according to the technique's incantation, executing each move fluidly with his spiritual energy circulating increasingly smoothly within his body. After completing a set, the numbers on the panel began to fluctuate. Gene unlocking rate 1.618. It had directly increased by 0.2. Truly, the Xian Yuan breathing technique was vastly superior to the Taiji breathing technique. Qi Xia was overjoyed and continued to practice 3 more sets until his hands and feet began to tremble. Looking at the panel again, the gene unlocking rate had surprisingly stopped at 2. He clenched his fists. A 1 was the passing line for university, while 2 was sufficient to secure a spot in a prestigious university. This meant that from this moment on he qualified to choose a higher institution. It's worth noting that in the Zhongshan universe, many advanced techniques and skills were held by only a few individuals, and attending a higher university was the quickest way for him to access these resources. Just as he was feeling excited, a knock on the door suddenly sounded. Qi Xia was somewhat surprised. Upon opening the door, he saw Principal Zhu Debiao and Teacher Li standing outside. Qi Xia, are you home? Principal Zhu, what brings you here? Come in quickly. Haha, all right. Principal Zhu Debiao smiled as he entered, casually glancing around the living room before suddenly pausing. AC Des was nestled on the sofa watching television, dressed in a loose silk nightgown, her silver hair casually cascading down, exuding a breathtaking beauty in her relaxed state. She glanced at the 2 of them before returning her focus to the screen, completely ignoring them. Who is this? Teacher Li asked, feeling somewhat awkward. Qi Xia introduced, "This is my spirit, AC Des." Principal Zhu Debio's eyes lit up with realization as he exclaimed in amazement, "So this is the SS or level spirit. She truly possesses an extraordinary demeanor." He wisely refrained from further interruption and got straight to the point. "Qi Xia, we have come to deliver good news. The SSR exclusive reward the school applied for you has been approved." SSR exclusive reward. Yes, every student who awakens an SS or level spiritual energy can report to the higher authorities to receive an exclusive reward. Principal Zhu Debiao rummaged through his spatial storage and took out a vial that glimmered with a faint blue light. This is a gene unlocking enhancer capable of directly boosting gene activity. It's a rare item that money can't buy, specifically for SSR spiritual energy users. Upon hearing this, Qi Xia was taken aback. The gene unlocking enhancer was one of the most precious potions on the market, capable of directly increasing the gene unlocking rate without any side effects. However, there were also many restrictions. Firstly, its production cost was extremely high, and it was not sold to the public. Secondly, each person could only use it once, and it could not be stacked. Finally, only SSR spiritual energy users could maximize its effects. Thus, it could only be used by those who had awakened SSR spiritual energy. Qi Xia realized that as a fake SSR spiritual energy user, the gene unlocking enhancer would likely not have much effect on him. But beggars can't be choosers. A little boost would still be beneficial. He accepted the gene unlocking enhancer, storing it in his spatial storage, and repeatedly expressed his gratitude. "Thank you, Principal." "Haha, you thanked me too early." Principal Zhu Debiao waved his terminal, saying, "Additionally, 1 million credit points and 20 instances of the bronze level dungeon have already been transferred to your account to check it out." 1 million credit points. Qi Xia hurriedly opened his terminal and was shocked to see a string of zeros added to his balance, causing his heart to race uncontrollably. 1 million. He had never seen that much money in his previous life. It must be said that being an SSR spiritual energy user was truly enticing. Principal Zhu Debiao watched Qi Xia's astonished expression and operated his terminal a few more times. With a ding, a new message popped up on Qi Xia's terminal containing an encrypted link. This link contains access to a library of techniques. The techniques inside are far more advanced than those currently available on our planet, specifically designed as benefits for SSR spiritual energy users. However, access is limited. You can only choose one. You can log in and view it through facial recognition. Oh, it's completely secure. Qi Xia clicked on the link, and a facial recognition box immediately appeared on the screen. He positioned himself in front of the camera, and the screen promptly displayed access verification successful, followed by a simple directory showing a list of over a dozen technique names. Each one was marked within a level or S-level rating. It's worth noting that the Taiji breathing technique he previously practiced was merely the lowest tier in the planet's database, and the Xian Yuan breathing technique was only slightly better classified as a level technique. The Meteor Sword Classic Flame Prison Burning Heaven Technique, 10,000 Spirits Coexist Technique. Qi Xia examined each technique, and the description of each one made his heart race. Owning an A-level or S-level technique would result in a qualitative change in his strength. Can I really choose one of these? He found it hard to believe techniques of this level were treasures that one could only hope to encounter. Of course. Principal Zhu Debiao smiled with great satisfaction, saying, "This is what you deserve. Take your time to choose one that suits you well. It will greatly aid your future cultivation." Qi Xia took a deep breath and solemnly bowed to Principal Zhu Debiao. "Thank you, Principal Zhu." Principal Zhu Debiao patted his shoulder, saying, "No need to be polite with the school. Focus on your cultivation. When you achieve success in the future, don't forget to come back to Yongjiang City to visit me and Teacher Li." "Principal Zhu, you can rest assured. I will remember this." After sending off the principal and Teacher Li, Qi Xia immediately sat on the sofa to study the list of techniques carefully. The techniques on it dazzled him. However, he felt that everything should first focus on the gene unlocking rate. Building a solid foundation was more important than anything else. After determining his direction, he began to search for techniques of this type. However, perhaps due to concerns about students practicing too broadly, or for some other reason, there was not a single technique related to gene unlocking rate in the library. This left him in a dilemma. After pondering for a moment, he decided to select a technique from the S-level category to study. He aimed to choose one that was both expensive and appropriate. And the one he chose was. Qi Xia browsed through the list of techniques for a long time, finally fixing his gaze on the instant kill sword. During this time training with his death and swordplay, he had gained some insights into swordsmanship, but he always found the Western sword techniques somewhat awkward, preferring the agility of traditional sword arts. However, Esteth was always a master of swordsmanship, so it was wise to ask for her opinion. "Esteth, which of these 3 strength sword techniques do you think is best?" "I quite like this instant kill sword technique. It emphasizes skill and practical killing methods." Esteth glanced at the introduction and tapped the screen with her fingertip. All three strength sword techniques are good, but the instant kill sword technique is indeed quite suitable for you. It is the foundation of killing techniques, the pinnacle of skill, and highly practical. But to master it to perfection is very difficult. She looked at Qi Xia, her eyes carrying a hint of amusement. If I were you, I would definitely choose the strongest one. All right, then I'll choose it. With his death's approval, Qi Xia decided on it. As for the difficulty, it was not the system would handle it. After confirming his choice, the full text of the instant kill sword technique instantly popped up on the terminal, filled with dense annotations and dynamic demonstrations that dazzled him. Once the selection was complete, the interface of the technique library automatically closed. Permission had been used up, and he could no longer browse other techniques. Pretty strict. Qi Xia clicked his tongue, sitting on the carpet with the terminal eagerly flipping through the sword manual. After half an hour, he slowly exited the interface. Well, strength sword techniques are not so easy to learn. He sighed helplessly and took out the gene unlocking enhancer. I wonder how much the gene unlocking rate will increase after using this. Isdeth turned her head, her gaze falling on the potion, and said lightly, "It's a low-quality product, but better than nothing. Give it a try." Qi Xia felt embarrassed. If such a precious item was called a low-quality product by Isdeth, what else could be considered valuable? However, thinking of Isdeth's gene unlocking rate being as high as 90, he had no rebuttal. Forget it, I'll just try it first. He uncapped the syringe and unhesitatingly injected it into his arm. A warm energy spread through his veins, transforming into countless tiny currents that crackled against his gene chain. Qi Xia immediately sat cross-legged, activating his spiritual energy using the Xian Yuan breathing technique. The energy surged within him, intertwining with the power of the potion, while the gene unlocking rate number slowly fluctuated on the panel. 2, 1, 2, 2, finally stopping at 2, 5. It increased by 0, 5. Just as he was feeling happy, he remembered that even his fake SSR could increase by 0, 5. So how much would a real SSR increase? With this thought, he could no longer sit still and immediately began practicing the Xian Yuan breathing technique. Isdeth leaned back on the sofa, watching his clumsy yet determined figure, a subtle smile forming at the corners of her mouth. Perhaps this guy was more resilient than she had imagined. Ding. Isdeth's affection level 2, current affection level 54, bond energy 42. The night outside grew darker, and all that remained in the living room was the sound of his punches slicing through the air and his slightly heavy breathing. The further he practiced the Xian Yuan breathing technique, the more astonishing the physical and mental drain became. The first few moves were still fluid, but by the latter half, each punch felt like dragging a 1,000-pound weight. He gritted his teeth and persevered silently, counting the repetitions in his mind. Once, twice, 3 times. With each repetition, his limbs grew increasingly heavy and his consciousness started to blur, but the sight of the gene unlocking rate number slowly oscillating on the panel always rekindled his motivation. It was not until the clock struck midnight that the sound reached his ears through the window that Qi Xia staggered to a stop, collapsing onto the floor, breathing heavily. He struggled to raise his hand and open the terminal panel. Gene unlocking rate 2, 8. From evening until now, a whole night of effort had barely resulted in an increase of 0, 3. Huff. Qi Xia wiped the sweat from his face and smiled bitterly. The road to becoming stronger was indeed not easy. The further he went, the more effort was required for every bit of progress. He used to increase by 0, 1 with a few repetitions, but now it took dozens of repetitions just to barely scrape by. Yet he quickly became reconciled to this. The gene unlocking enhancer was so precious, and even a 0, 5 increase was already quite good for himself, as long as he found a steady path for improvement without spending money that was better than anything else. The floor was slightly sticky with sweat, but he was too lazy to move, just lying there staring blankly at the chandelier on the ceiling. A slight sound came from the sofa. Isdeth had woken up at some point and was looking down at him. Showing off. Her voice carried a hint of subtle disdain, but she tossed him a clean towel. Qi Xia caught the towel, wiped his face, and smiled, saying, "It's better than doing nothing. The more I practice, the faster I can match up to you." After saying this, he felt a bit awkward, realizing he had let slip his true feelings. Isdeth paused, slightly casting a glance at Qi Xia before turning to walk into her room. "Do as you wish, but don't overexert yourself and delay my dungeon run." Hearing this, Qi Xia couldn't help but laugh. It seemed Isdeth's attitude towards him had begun to shift. Thinking that everything was heading in a positive direction, he felt invigorated and immediately climbed up from the floor, enduring the soreness to practice another set of Xian Yuan breathing technique. But after 2 sets, he couldn't hold on any longer and had to give up, starting today's card draw. Congratulations, you have obtained our card Lady In description: Lady In resilient and courageous, gentle and loving, wise and open-minded. Summon store and warehouse. Lady In had an attractive visage, bright eyes, long black hair styled into an exquisite bun, wearing a blue hair crown, gentle and elegant. She was Nezha's mother and was also the second our card Qi Xia had drawn. However, it was not needed right now, so he decided to store her in the warehouse. Qi Xia looked at the card draw interface, which displayed the number of draws 14 times. He still had to endure another 16 days before he could guarantee an SR with 30 draws. He hoped that by then he could draw a useful SR to enhance his team. As for drawing an SSR in the meantime, forget it, that was something only lucky people did, he didn't deserve it. He might as well wash up and go to sleep. The next day in the morning, Qi Xia had just gotten up when he saw a message from Zhu Debiao on the terminal which prominently displayed the rules for this university exam. He clicked to read, furrowing his brow. The content of this university exam is actually a battle royale. Moreover, a planetary-level battle royale. A planetary-level battle royale. All the fresh graduates of Standard Planet E86 competing in the same arena. He murmured to himself, feeling a heaviness in his heart. The rules clearly state that the examination venue is set on an artificial trial planet where all examinees are prohibited from carrying any potions, equipment, or weapons upon entry. They can only search for weapons, potions, and other items within various strongholds through their own efforts. Final rankings will be determined based on survival time, number of kills, and task completion rate, with the bottom 10 of examinees directly losing their qualifications for further education. Qi Xia furrowed his brow. This was not an examination, but a battle for survival. The gathering of all the fresh graduates on the planet naturally implied a level of brutality that was self-evident. Thus, he had to accelerate his path to strength. Not only did he need to provide enough spiritual energy for his death, but he also had to acquire more bond energy to unlock the instant kill sword technique. After all, the battlefield is ever-changing. If someone bypasses his death to launch an attack on him, wouldn't he become a target for others? Becoming a burden to his death was something he could never accept. I must become stronger quickly. Levels, genetic unlock rates, proficiency in techniques. Everything that could be improved had to be prioritized. What are you thinking about? His death approached and glanced at his terminal. It's just a battle royale. What's there to be surprised about? The survival of the fittest is the norm. Such rules will better filter out the true strong. Qi Xia nodded, immediately standing up with fierce determination. Let's go, we should grind through the dungeons now. He opened his terminal and dialed the departure number. Hello, Brother Kai, let's go grind the bronze level dungeon again. Oh, you've run out of attempts, huh? Alright, let's reschedule for next time. Qi Xia hung up the phone helplessly, suddenly remembering that not everyone could receive as many dungeon rewards. Last time, Li Kai and the others could accompany him for 5 runs, having exhausted their accumulated attempts. He still had 20 attempts left, but clearly he could not form a team anymore, so he had to go with his death first. The two walked side by side into the adventurer's dungeon hall, where a long line still formed on the second floor. Seeing the line, Qi Xia frowned. There are still as many people as ever. He opened his terminal, hesitating whether to find a random team, when suddenly a commotion erupted on the 3rd floor, and the crowd surged upward like a tide. What's going on? All he could hear were passers-by excitedly exchanging words. A raid. A raid has appeared on the 3rd floor. What the hell? Is that true? A raid has actually appeared. What is a raid? You newbie, haven't you read anything? You don't even know what a raid is. Really, it's ridiculous. A raid is a large-scale dungeon that can accommodate hundreds of people to tackle simultaneously with exceptionally rich rewards and experience. Moreover, anyone can enter without consuming dungeon attempts. But similarly, the difficulty is relatively high and the number of monsters is extremely large. If the dungeon is not cleared within the specified time, the monsters inside will escape into the real world, which would be disastrous. But fortunately, the raid team is already in place and has entered. Damn, let's hurry to take a look and join the excitement. Let's go. Qi Xia's eyes lit up. He never expected to encounter something like this. He looked at his death, who had a glint of excitement in her eyes, clearly taking a keen interest in such large-scale battles. Let's go. The two followed the crowd up to the 3rd floor, only to be stunned by the sight before them. The 3rd floor hall was packed with people with staff blocking the periphery and countless individuals attempting to squeeze forward. Clear the way. Everyone step back. The staff shouted through a loudspeaker. Professional teams are currently tackling the raid. Unauthorized personnel are not allowed to approach. Qi Xia furrowed his brow. With this setup, it seems you need some status to get in. Status. Isdeth scoffed, and suddenly an overwhelming aura erupted from her, an icy pressure instantly enveloping the surrounding crowd. The people pushing forward suddenly froze, all feeling an intense chill, and instinctively retreating, clearing up. The staff were also intimidated by this aura, their faces pale, as they instinctively stopped blocking. We are going in. Isdeth's tone was calm, yet carried an undeniable authority as she strode directly inside. Qi Xia was speechless. Indeed, strength was the best status. He hurriedly followed, only to see the staff stammering as they inquired of his death. Excuse me. Who are you? His death did not turn around, so Qi Xia had to explain. We are here to help. We have combat power. As they passed through the crowd, the two finally saw the teleportation portal for the raid. It was a massive light gate nearly 10 meters in diameter, with no visible scene inside. Isdeth gazed at the light gate, her eyes flickering with battle intent. Let's go in. Qi Xia took a deep breath, gripping the sword at his waist tightly. As the two stepped into the light gate, they were stopped by the guards at the entrance. A middle-aged man in uniform frowned at Qi Xia's student. "This is not a place for you. Hurry and leave." Qi Xia was about to explain when an icy aura erupted from his death, the invisible pressure causing the guards to retreat repeatedly, their faces paling. "What is the situation inside?" The lead guard looked at his death in astonishment, not daring to delay, quickly answering right now. "The monster horde is assaulting the defense line, and the Esper-level raid team has gone to deal with the boss. We are responsible for holding back the small monsters, preventing them from breaching into the real world." Following the direction he pointed, there was indeed a chaotic battle ahead. Countless monsters howled as they charged the defense line, while the spiritual practitioners formed arrays to resist fire, ice shards, and lightning intertwining in the air, the sounds of battle deafening. Just small fry. Death's gaze swept over the battlefield, directly locking onto the thick black mist behind the defense line, clearly the direction of the boss. "We are going to kill the boss." Qi Xia looked at the densely packed fighting crowd ahead, unable to find a path. "But with so many people, how do we get through?" "If there is no path, then we will create one," Death said, suddenly grabbing Qi Xia's hand and leaping up. The two drew an arc in the air, surpassing the crowd caught in conflict. With her other hand, she waved, tracing an ice-blue trajectory in the air. Chill instantly coalesced, and a crystal-clear ice bridge appeared in midair, extending from beneath their feet toward the direction shrouded in black mist. "Let's go." She pulled Qi Xia along, dashing forward on the ice bridge. The bridge was 10 meters high above the ground, and the sounds of battle below rumbled like thunder, countless gazes turning toward the sky. "What is that? An ice bridge? Someone is walking through the sky. Who is that? Such strong control." Some monsters also sensed the anomaly. Several winged snake monsters shrieked and soared into the sky, their sharp teeth glinting with cold light. Archers on the ground also turned their aim, shooting arrows infused with dark energy at the ice bridge. Annoying. Death did not look back, swinging her sword in a reverse motion. The ice-blue sword light swept through, instantly freezing the flying snake monsters into ice sculptures which plummeted. The arrows shot toward them also froze midair, shattering with a crackle. She continued, pulling Qi Xia along her steps, never faltering. The ice bridge, supported by her spiritual energy, remained as solid as a rock as they swiftly passed through the chaotic battlefield toward the thick black mist. Qi Xia took out a potion to restore his spiritual energy and quickly injected it, maintaining his energy at peak levels. When they arrived at the boss's location, they were utterly shocked by the scene before them. "What is this?" The boss's lair. At the center, a nearly 10-meter-tall lava behemoth roared as it swung its claws. Molten rivers coursed across its form, scorching the ground to blackened char. At the edge of the clearing, a woman in a pale golden robe sat cross-legged, a faint green domain unfurling around her. The spiritualists within that domain were all bathed in a soft radiance and enhancement buff. Her name was Lin Yueru, level 80, a S-rank spiritual ability. Domain deployment type. "My enhancement will last for a long time, so rest assured." At the vanguard, a middle-aged man clad in dark crimson armor stood, taking the beast's blows heeding. Exposed bone embedded in his armor gleamed like metal. Each collision sent tremors through the earth. His name was Zhao Lei, level 90, a S-rank spiritual ability, armament possession type. Huh, what a thrill. Again, a woman in combat gear wielded a long spear, its shadow streaking like a meteor as she struck at the beast's joints. Her spearwork was mercilessly precise, always finding gaps to deal effective damage. Her name was Su Yuqing, level 88, a S-rank spiritual ability, armament possession type. The boss's health is nearly spent, prepare to deliver the killing blow. A white-winged humanoid spirit hovered in the air, continuously unleashing silver blades that shredded the behemoth's defenses. Its movements were lithe and swift. The spiritualist who commanded that spirit was Li Xiaojin, level 85, S-rank spiritual ability, single focus type. The single focus type, unlike Qi Xia's Legion commander type, which can command multiple spirits, permits only one spirit, and only ever one throughout a lifetime. Copy that, quick and decisive, so I can go back and celebrate. The four of them cooperated with seamless synergy. They were the core of the raid team. Dozens of spiritualists surrounded the behemoth and pressed the assault. Skill flares rose and fell, and for a time, they were locked in a bitter contest with the level 90 boss. Now, seizing the instant as the beast turned, Su Yuqing infused her spear with spiritual force. It became a streak of light that pierced precisely the weak spot in its chest. A lamenting roar tore from the lava behemoth as its massive body crashed down and dissolved into innumerable embers. Onlookers erupted into cheers at the sight. "We won. Wonderful, we cleared the level 90 raid boss. Mom, your son has made you proud." Huh. A recorded victory over a level 90 raid. Zhao Lei panted as he removed the bony armor from his arm. "I thought it would be more impressive, that's all." Li Xiaojin glanced at him and grinned wickedly. "Is that so? Then who was calling Mom just now?" You must have gone soft from all the playing, only know how to shout mom every day. Lin Yueru withdrew her domain and sauntered over to tease them. Good son's mommy is here. Zhao Li Xiaojian. Su Yuqing rubbed her forehead, utterly speechless. I ask you, aren't you being? We're public figures after all. If someone sees this, and it spreads, how embarrassing. Li Xiaojian looked at Su Yuqing, then scanned the surroundings with mock concern. What who here is shameless? Su Yuqing glared at Li Xiaojian's cheeky expression and tightened her grip on the Xiaojian. Act like that again, and I'll pierce you with my spear. Zhao Lei, enjoying the spectacle, egged them on. Yes, stab that bastard, aim for his anus, and give him one. Li Xiaojian winced, his mouth twitching. Pervert. You're disgusting. Su Yuqing felt that listening any longer would sully her, and she turned to leave. At that moment, a piercing alarm blared across the clearing. Everyone froze alarmed and searched the area. The ground shook violently as the scattered embers suddenly recombined into a dense black mist. From within came the teeth-grinding scrape of bone, and a demonic apparition nearly twice the size of the first slowly rose. Horns crowned its head and bat-like wings stretched from its back. Dark purple scales cloaked its body. Its level indicator spasmed wildly before settling at mutation Abyssal Lava Demon LV-100. Damn, it's a mutation. Zhao Lei's face turned ashen as he resummoned his armor. A level 100 Abyssal boss. How are we supposed to fight that? Lin Yueri's domain convulsed, and its green glow dimmed. Its pressure is suppressing my domain. The buff's effect is weakening. Su Yuqing tightened her grip on the spear, brow furrowed. This creature's defense is more than twice what it was before. Li Xiaojian sobered, his playful mien gone. Damn, you might actually be calling mom now. The abyssal demon watched them and emitted a deep, mirthless laugh. I never imagined the day would come when I could break my seal and become an abyssal boss. I am truly grateful to you. To show my sincerity, I will make you my sacrifices. It beat its bat wings, and a black shockwave rippled outward, blasting several nearby spiritualists aside and forcing them to cough blood. Their faces hardened, breathing became difficult. The level 100 abyssal main boss had already exceeded their capacity to cope. Zhao Lei fixed his gaze on the abyssal demon and said in a low voice, Yuqing, what do we do next? Li Xiaojian and Lin Yueru turned to Su Yuqing, awaiting her decision. As Captain Su Yuqing's brow tightened. With their present combat strength, there was no way to defeat a level 100 abyssal boss. Under the circumstances, the best plan was to fight while retreating to buy time and drag the abyssal boss until reinforcements arrived. Having resolved this, she issued a loud command. Everyone withdraw. At Su Yuqing's order, the team breathed a collective sigh of relief and hurriedly began, but as they retreated, they suddenly discovered an invisible force holding them in place. They could not leave. We can't get out. What is this? A barrier. The abyssal boss's barrier has trapped us. Damn. Hearing this, Su Yuqing's frown deepened. She could not allow panic to spread and immediately shouted orders to organize everyone. Don't panic. Everyone. Before she could finish, the abyssal demon unleashed an ear-splitting roar followed by a ripping shockwave. Except for the four main fighters, everyone else was blasted into coughing blood. The abyssal demon looked upon their terror and snarled with malice. Huh. Foolish humans, you think you can escape me. Damn it. Su Yuqing, Zhao Lei, Li Xiaojian, and Lin Yueru all fixed their gazes on the abyssal demon, preparing for a desperate battle. Yet each of them knew in their hearts that against a level 100 abyssal demon their odds were slim. Their only hope was to delay and wait for support to arrive. Just as despair settled over them, two figures crossed an ice bridge and appeared at the edge of the clearing. The newcomers were Qi Xia and Isidisi. Isdeth and Qi Xia stepped onto the ice bridge, the halo of the barrier rippling at their feet, yet offering no obstruction, clearly indicating that entry was permitted but not exit. Upon seeing the grand entrance of the two, everyone was momentarily taken aback. They thought they were reinforcements, but upon seeing Qi Xia's youthful face, they were filled with questions. Are they young? Oh my, how did they get here? Run. How to run? This barrier seems to allow entry. Oh, damn it. What are the people outside doing? Allowing two youngsters to enter. Su Yuqing, Zhao Lei, Li Xiaojian, and Lin Yueru frowned slightly. They could naturally see that Qi Xia was a novice, but they could also sense the immense power radiating from his death, which was extraordinary. The Abyss Lava Demon let out a deep growl. Huh. Two more come to deliver themselves to death. Qi Xia looked at the panel displaying Abyss Lava Demon LV-100, and his heart raced. No way, another anomalous dungeon. Isdeth, however, seemed unfazed, lightly flicking her western sword as azure spiritual energy flowed along the blade. Level 100, it will indeed take some effort. This statement sounded extremely arrogant to the others. Su Yuqing tightened her grip on the spear, frowning slightly. Are you saying you can deal with it? The people around also turned their heads. Zhao Lei sighed softly. Yuqing, are you also starting to talk nonsense? This is the main boss of the anomalous abyss. Even with dozens of us attacking, we couldn't gain the upper hand. How could she with such a low level possibly do it? Su Yuqing finally came to her senses, cursing herself for asking such foolish questions. The aura emitted by his death was indeed impressive, but her level of LV-48 was sufficient to indicate that she was not a match for the Abyss Lava Demon. I was overthinking. I didn't say I could easily solve it. His death interrupted her gaze sweeping over Su Yuqing. However, if someone can unleash a lethal force in an instant and combine it with control, there is still a chance. Really? Su Yuqing's pupils constricted if she indeed had a hidden card. The second stage of armed inheritance could allow the spear to unleash power capable of slaying a level 100 boss, but the cost was to drain vitality, and the motion before the attack was too long, making it extremely difficult to hit. Not to mention the anomalous Abyss Lava Demon, who among those present could control it. But in such a desperate situation, as long as there was a 1 in 10,000 chance, it could not be wasted. She gritted her teeth and looked at his death. Can you control it? Lin Yuru couldn't help but speak. Her domain was almost at its limit. Yuqing, you can't seriously think a level 48 spirit can control the Abyss BOSS, can you? Li Xiaojian looked at his own spirit, shaking his head helplessly. I can only say the odds are lower than winning the lottery. Zhao Lei frowned tightly, speaking solemnly. Why should we believe you? If we misjudge, it could lead to our total defeat. Isteth said nothing, but simply raised her hand. The azure spiritual energy burst forth, suddenly condensing countless small ice crystals in the air, radiating a chilling pressure that made one's heart race. Just based on this, such powerful ice attributes. The entire crowd fell silent. With such powerful ice attributes, perhaps they could truly control the Abyss Lava Demon. Qi Xia did not know how Isteth would deal with the Abyss Lava Demon, but he had absolute trust in her. Thus, in order to make everyone believe in his death, he had to present something substantial. He stepped forward and displayed the SSR terminal information. I am an SSR spiritual user, and she is called Isteth, my spirit. Upon hearing this, everyone was startled. SSR? Is it actually the legendary SSR? Oma, perhaps we are truly saved. He is indeed an SSR spiritual user, but with such a significant level difference, how could he possibly be the opponent of the Abyss boss? Regardless, the addition of an SSR is undoubtedly a good thing. Right? Exactly. The crowd exchanged glances, their hesitation gradually replaced by determination. With the level 100 boss right before them, there was no retreat, and this might be their only opportunity. Zhao Lei, Li Xiaojian, and Lin Yuru looked at Qi Xia's SSR level, momentarily unsure of what to say, their faces filled with shock. Su Yuqing gazed at Qi Xia and Isteth with a complicated expression, deciding to take a risk. If you can control it for 1 second, I will have the chance to kill it. Isteth looked at the Abyss Lava Demon and chuckled coldly. Then you better not disappoint me. Okay, Su Yuqing took a deep breath and plunged the spear into the ground. With a hum, the spear emitted a blinding red light. Her hair turned pale at a visible speed, and fine blood-colored patterns appeared on her skin. This was the second stage of armed inheritance, trading vitality for instantaneous explosive power. My meteor break can only last for 3 seconds. It must hit within those 3 seconds. Her voice trembled, clearly bearing immense pain. Control it, please. Isteth turned to face the Abyss Lava Demon, her eyes brimming with fighting spirit. It can't move at all, you just go ahead and attack. The Abyss Lava Demon watched them with interest, mocking. Have you finished discussing? Then make your move. It didn't take the crowd seriously. What could an SSR spirit do? In the face of absolute power, all schemes were useless. It was more eager to enjoy the expressions of humans going from hope to utter despair. That was its favorite spiritual poison. Su Yuqing noticed that Isteth had no intention of attacking, yet still urged her to do so, which left her utterly confused. But with the arrow on the string, it had to be released. Time was limited, as she couldn't afford to think too much. The red light flashed in her eyes, and the veins in her hand gripping the spear bulged as she threw it with all her might. Explosive meteor. The spear tip gathered dazzling red light, carrying a world-destroying momentum as it shot towards the Abyss Lava Demon. The Abyss Lava Demon looked on with disdain. While this attack had considerable power with its speed and linear trajectory, it could easily evade. Foolish humans, you are truly too weak. Is that so? Isteth's voice suddenly echoed in its ears, laced with absolute confidence. Then let me show you what true control is. Mo. Buzz. A gentle sound echoed as a bluish light erupted around Isteth, an invisible force instantly spreading outwards. Time stood still. Everything inside the barrier was frozen in that moment. Su Yuqing held her red glowing spear suspended in midair, the airflow at its tip clearly visible. Even the flying shards of stone and droplets of sweat seemed nailed in place. Only Isteth moved freely in this frozen time and space. This was her strongest technique. Mo could freeze the entire time and space. Everything within its range except for Isteth herself would fall into a state of stasis, including living beings' energy and time. Similarly, it consumed immense energy, usable only once a day, and lasted only a few seconds. She flickered and appeared before the abyss demon, her western sword glinting coldly as it precisely sliced through its eyes. Blood gushed from the wound, but hung suspended in the air. Then she spun around in the air, instantly maneuvering behind the abyss demon. With a kick, she propelled it towards the spear that gathered destructive force. Having done all this, Death gently snapped her fingers. Snap! The flow of time suddenly restarted. Oh! The abyss demon's scream was deafening, the intense pain in its eyes causing it to lose its vision instantly. At that moment, Su Yuqing's exploding meteor red light surged like lightning, piercing through its chest in an instant. Boom! The abyss demon felt the pain radiating from its chest, filled with disbelief. This? Impossible. Its life came to an end, unable to withstand any longer, and its massive body collapsed, transforming into countless specks of light. Bang! As the light faded, a pile of gleaming equipment and crystal cores remained on the ground, dazzling and brilliant. Silence. The entire barrier was enveloped in deathly stillness. Everyone stared blankly at the scene before them, their minds blank. Is it dead? The level 100 mutated abyss demon is dead. What happened? Just a moment ago it was clearly far away. How did it? I don't know. But we survived. Yage, we cleared the mutated group dungeon. Woo! The feeling of being alive is wonderful. Su Yuqing maintained her stance with the spear, her pale face filled with confusion. How did it come over by itself? And why did its eyes suddenly go blind? Zhao Lei opened his mouth, unable to speak for a long time, his gaze instinctively turning towards his death nearby. She was landing lightly. The blood on her western sword had vanished as if nothing had happened just now. It was her. Lin Yuru was the first to react, her voice trembling. Everything was orchestrated by her, she truly did it. Li Shaojian gasped in astonishment, unable to refrain from exclaiming. Is this the power of an SSR-level heroic spirit? Truly terrifying. Only then did everyone realize, turning their gazes towards his death, filled with reverence. Unnoticed, she altered the position of a level 100 boss, even blinding the abyss demon's eyes. This control ability was simply exaggerated. How strong could an SSR heroic spirit be? At the same time, they looked at Qi Xia with envy in their eyes. Why did he awaken as an SSR and not me? Is it just because he is better looking than me? Also, he seems more exhausted than I am. At this moment, Qi Xia was drenched in sweat, appearing quite weak. Just now, his death unleashed her ultimate move, Mo Kubo Te Mo, nearly draining him completely. Fortunately, he was currently at level 48, and his gene unlock rate had reached 2.8, so he was not in such dire straits. His death glanced at the spoils on the ground, her tone calm. Done. With the death of the abyss demon, all the monsters outside vanished. The sound of clearing the dungeon echoed in every player's ears. Ding. Dungeon cleared. Qi Xia and Death's levels rose to 52. Ding. Detected that the host has completed a dungeon run, with Death gaining bond energy 200. Current affinity 56, bond energy 242. Cheers erupted as the spiritual energy users embraced each other, their faces filled with joy at having survived. Su Yuqing leaned on her spear and walked up to Death, bowing deeply. Thank you. Death ignored her and simply said to Qi Xia, let's go. Wait. Su Yuqing saw Death walking straight ahead without glancing aside and quickly turned to Qi Xia, her tone filled with gratitude. Qi Xia, can we add each other as friends? I'll organize the rewards and dungeon strategies from this run and send them to you later. Your share will definitely not be less. Qi Xia knew Death looked down on these things, but why not take advantage of it? He opened his terminal and quickly nodded. Okay. The two swiftly added each other as friends. Su Yuqing wanted to say something more, but Qi Xia had already hurriedly caught up with Death. Zhao Lei watched their retreating figures, unable to help but exclaim. This kid is so young, yet he has such a powerful heroic spirit. He's likely to become the top figure on our planet in the future. Indeed, but it's just as well that he is here, otherwise we would all be dead. Li Shaojian looked at his own heroic spirit, shrugging his shoulders. Comparing ourselves to others only brings misery. The contented are always happy. Let's go home and play some tiles. Qi Xia and Death walked out of the dungeon's teleportation portal. The hall was still bustling with people, all watching the commotion. They reached the second floor. The previously long line for the bronze-level dungeon area had significantly diminished, likely due to the commotion from the group dungeon. Qi Xia's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm as he promptly suggested, since there's no one here now, let's run a few more bronze dungeons. Death nodded lightly. Let's go. Qi Xia skillfully selected the high difficulty, and the two stepped once more into the familiar shadow forest. This time there were no teammates, no 5-man group bonuses, only the sound of their footsteps and the distant howling of wolves. After 20 dungeon runs, Qi Xia and Death's levels had risen to 58. Current affinity 60, a bond energy 642. Detected that the host's bond energy has exceeded 600. You can use 600 points of bond energy to optimize the instant kill sword technique. Yes, no. Without hesitation, Qi Xia chose yes. Successfully deducted 600 bond energy. Current affinity 60, a bond energy 42. Optimizing. Optimization complete. Instant kill sword technique has reached perfection and the host has completely mastered it. A warm current instantly surged through his entire body. He had mastered all 3 forms of the instant kill sword technique. However, mastering it was one thing, applying it in actual combat was another. Qi Xia opened the terminal shop and unhesitatingly placed an order for a top-tier virtual universe pod. The virtual universe pod can restore 100 of the physical sensation, allowing for sparring with people from across the stars, while safely honing martial skills perfect for enhancing practical techniques. In the past, his family was poor and could not afford it. Now that he has money, he has to get one. It had to be the top configuration, directly consuming 1 million credit points, and the order was successfully placed. Not long after returning home, the virtual universe pod was delivered. The installation personnel quickly set the silvery pod in Qi Xia's room, connected the power, and the hatch slowly opened, emitting a soft blue light from within. Isdeth circled around the pod, her eyes filled with curiosity. What is this? Qi Xia fiddled with the virtual universe pod and explained, this is a virtual training pod. Once you step inside, you can spar with others and practice sword techniques. Isdeth immediately perked up, her eyes brimming with fighting spirit. Get one for me. Spirits cannot directly enter the virtual universe. I have to bring you in. All right, then take me in. Qi Xia fell silent for a moment, his tone carrying a hint of apology. I'm sorry, but this time I want to face the challenge independently, so I can't take you. Isdeth slightly raised her chin, her tone leaving no room for denial. Dare you defy me? Qi Xia felt Isdeth's anger, yet he met her gaze with resolve, stating firmly, I don't want to always rely on you. I want to become someone who can fight alongside you, so this time I want to rely on myself and carve out a place in the world. Isdeth looked at Qi Xia's resolute eyes, revealing a barely perceptible smile. Interesting, I hope you won't disappoint me too much. You do your thing, but I'm going to watch a show. With that, she turned and left, truly heading off to watch her show. Ding. Isdeth's favorability towards you has increased by 2, current favorability 62, bond energy 42. Qi Xia watched Isdeth's departing figure, whispering to himself, I will definitely catch up to your pace. He took a deep breath, lay down in the universe pod, and the neural connection device gently pressed against his temple to start the equipment. Connecting to the virtual universe. Sensory synchronization rate 100. A flash of white light passed before his eyes, and when he opened them again, he found himself standing in a vibrant creation interface. As he followed the prompts to customize his face, he deliberately adjusted his features to create some differences between his virtual avatar and his real self to avoid being recognized. He'll call it Instant Kill Swordsman. He remembered the sword technique he had just learned and casually entered it. Prompt, this name has already been used, please enter a new one. Qi Xia, feeling helpless, had to add some numbers. Instant Kill Swordsman 9527, creation successful. Welcome, Instant Kill Swordsman 9527, to the virtual universe. The scene before him changed, and he found himself in a huge square surrounded by a bustling crowd with a variety of virtual avatars. There were warriors clad in armor, mages wielding staffs, and even alien races with beast-like ears. Various combat information scrolled across a bulletin board in the distance, and the air seemed to be filled with the scent of competition. Qi Xia moved his virtual body, feeling the sensations were indistinguishable from reality. He skipped the novice tutorial and selected the ranking match mode. 10 placement matches would directly determine his initial rank in the virtual universe. Matching successful. You are about to be transported to the battle scene. A flash of light passed before his eyes, and he found himself standing on an empty metallic arena. Opposite him stood a muscular man named Madblade War God, wielding a broadsword nearly his height. The weapon vault is over there. Choose a weapon that suits you. The Madblade War God casually pointed to the corner. Qi Xia walked over to the weapon vault and chose a long sword that was moderate in weight and length. Seeing that his rank displayed as unranked, the Madblade War God couldn't help but laugh derisively. So you're just a beginner? What bad luck to encounter me in a ranking match. I'm a Black Iron 3-star. Dealing with newcomers like you is as easy as chopping vegetables. Qi Xia said nothing, merely gripping the sword hilt, and softly replied, let's begin. Quite arrogant. A flicker of anger flashed in the Madblade War God's eyes. Then let me show you the power of the Black Iron rank. Ready? 3, 2, 1, battle begins. As the prompt finished, the Madblade War God charged first. He pushed off the ground with both feet, his massive frame surprisingly agile, sweeping his broadsword through the air with a sound of slicing wind, clearly aiming to end the fight in one blow. Qi Xia's gaze sharpened, and he did not retreat. He gripped the sword hilt with his right hand and placed his left hand on the sheath, instantly channeling all his spiritual energy into his wrist. This was the first move of the instant kill sword technique. Emphasizing surprise and executing the draw stab and sheath motions at the fastest speed, aiming for a decisive strike. Just as the Mad Blade War God's broadsword was halfway through its sweep, a flash of sword light appeared before him. Swish! The long sword moved like two intertwining bolts of lightning so fast it left only an afterimage. He suddenly felt a chill in his chest, and the health bar on the virtual panel instantly emptied. Judgment critical hit. Battle ended. Winner. Instant kill, swordsman 95-27. The Mad Blade War God remained frozen in the posture of swinging his sword. He looked down at the virtual wound on his chest, then lifted his gaze to Qi Xia. Qi Xia had already sheathed his long sword, his movements fluid, as if nothing had happened moments ago. You? The Mad Blade War God opened his mouth, his face filled with disbelief. Such a fast sword. With that he transformed into a point of light and vanished from the arena. Qi Xia moved his wrist. Although the previous strike was a virtual battle, the techniques and timing of the instant kill sword technique were identical to those in reality. It felt pretty good to use this move for the first time. Victory in the first placement match. Points 150. Qi Xia looked at the numbers dancing on the panel, his gaze becoming sharper. He tightened his grip on the sword hilt, waiting for the next battle to begin. The following second and third matches were also won, with the first move swiftly defeating his opponents without any delay. When he reached the fourth match, his opponent's rank had surprisingly risen to gold. The person of gold rank was modeled, handsomely tall, named. Anyone can win, he shouted with exaggerated expressions, passionately yelling. Thanks to my big brother with the airplane head for the supercar donation, thank you. Thanks to the pink Xiao Biluo big baby for sending the fairy tale castle, love you moi. Thanks to my. Qi Xia looked at the enthusiastic words of anyone can win and immediately understood that this person was a streamer, and a somewhat popular one at that. However, he typically did not watch live streams, so he didn't recognize him. He coughed, strategically afraid the other party wouldn't hear, and deliberately raised his voice. Hello, can we start? But the other party was still immersed in the live stream, not hearing a word. Qi Xia helplessly raised his volume. Can we start? Anyone can win, are you even ready? A live stream titled Even Match with Anyone. A handsome, charismatic man smiles warmly at his audience. Welcome everyone to my Even Match with Anyone live stream. Pink Qi Xia, my beloved fan, has entered the stream. Long time no see. Huh. Unexpected. I just went live and already encountered an unrated spiritual energy user. What a pity. In your placement match, facing me means an even split, but I'm afraid I must apologize in advance. At that moment, a dazzling crimson supercar streaks across the sky, an in-stream gift. Thank you, Brother Fujitu, for your supercar gift. Deeply appreciated. Next, a magnificent ornate fairy tale castle slowly ascends into the air, bursting with radiant fireworks, visual effects at their peak. Thank you, Pink Qi Xia, for the fairy tale castle gift. I love you. Fellow viewers, please tap your lucky fingers to follow our top donor, Brother Fujitu, and our second top supporter, Pink Qi Xia. The chat room erupts with excitement. I'm already a devoted fan of Pink Qi Xia. Her voice and black stockings are utterly irresistible. Whoa, she really is. She's got me all heated up. Totally smitten. Give me her full profile in 3 minutes flat. Get real. How many gifts have you even sent her? And you still want to court an anonymous top-tier streamer? Exactly. Why not show some appreciation for Brother Fujitu instead? He's the true tycoon. Kids, pick one. I'll take them both. 6. This time, Even Match faces a rookie in his placement match. Looks like he's about to start showing off. Everyone, stand up. Watching the torrent of scrolling comments, Even Match maintains his professional smile, unbroken, until Qi Xia's voice rings out once more. Even Match, have you even begun yet? Only then does he turn to Qi Xia, and upon seeing Qi Xia's level, 52, he gives a slight dismissive shake of his head. He himself stands at level 62, with a genetic unlock rate of 2. 5. Defeating Qi Xia would take mere moments, but for the sake of livestream spectacle, he decides to toy with him first. Fellow viewers, let's pause this chat. We'll mute gift effects and comments now, so they don't interfere with the battle. Love you all, kisses. Even Match grips a round shield in his left hand, and a curved blade in his right, flashing a dashing grin. Hey brother, sorry to keep you waiting. He waves casually. Landing me in your placement match, that's your luck. But before he finishes, he sees Qi Xia already assumed the sword-drawing stance, his gaze locked on his opponent with the intensity of a predator fixating on prey. All right, no more talk. Even Match drops his playful demeanor, raising the shield before him. Come on, ready, 3, 2, 1, begin. Almost the instant the countdown ends, Qi Xia moves. A flash of steel, a meteor's speed, as his sword pierces straight for Even Match's chest. So fast. Even Match's pupils contract sharply. Years of combat instinct drive him to swing the shield sideways in a split second. Clang. A deafening metallic ring reverberates. The shield erupts with sparks. His arm goes numb. He nearly loses his grip on the shield, stunned by the sheer force. Using the recoil, he staggers backward, putting distance between them, and locks eyes with Qi Xia unblinking. The sword-drawing stance is no rare technique. Many know it, and he's faced it countless times, but never like this, never so swift, never so devastating. This art must rank at least Class A, perhaps even Class. Brother, your sword art, is it Class? Qi Xia says nothing, only sheaths his longsword once more and assumes the same stance. Now this is interesting. Even Match shakes out his tingling arm, his expression hardening. The sword-drawing art's strength lies in its explosive initiation. If he blocks the first strike, the counterattack window opens. Resolving to act first, Even Match lets out a low roar, raises his shield, and charges forward, with the curved blade hidden behind it poised to slash. He calculates the distance precisely. The moment Qi Xia draws his sword, he'll meet it heat-in with the shield, then immediately follow through with a sweeping cut. This is his tried and true counter to the sword-drawing art. Distance collapses rapidly. Soon they'll reach optimal range for the draw. Now, Even Match holds his breath, lifts the shield to chest height, and tenses every muscle. Qi Xia moves. Same familiar motion. Yet this time, Even Match sees something that makes his scalp crawl, not one blade flash, but dozens. Flash step chain cut. Qi Xia's figure blurs into afterimages, his blade vibrates violently, shattering in an instant into dozens of illusory, indistinguishable slashes, raining down like a hurricane upon Even Match. Damn it. Even Match clearly hadn't anticipated a chain strike. His shield intercepts only the first 3 slashes. The rest descend like a storm, striking him relentlessly. Thwip, thwip, thwip. Blood sprays. His health bar plummets visibly. Judgment multi-hit strike. Match concluded. Victor. Swift kill. Swordsman 95-27. Even Match stumbles back several steps, staring at the dense lattice of wounds across his body, and lets out a wry chuckle. Well now? So the sword-drawing art can be wielded this way. My arrogance cost me dearly. Just before dissolving into shimmering light, he shouts one last line. That's sword art. Truly formidable. Let's rematch soon. Qi Xia slides his sword back into its sheath, his gaze calm and unfathomable. The livestream audience watches stunned into silence. No way, Brother Kai lost. And that fast. Pathetic. You're really not cut out for this, huh? Says who? You and your whole family aren't. Oh ho ho, how mighty you sound. Do you actually know he's capable? Or did he whisper to you? Just bear with it. I'm quite large. Moderator, ban that troll. Right, ban him, ban him. User Dewan Quanshui has been removed from the stream. Even Match glances at the chat and offers an awkward smile. Fellow viewers, yes, I truly underestimated him earlier. I had no idea he could chain draw. Rest assured, I'll get my revenge next time we meet. I sincerely appreciate your continued support. Special thanks to Pink Kaibiluo for her great sword gift. Deep gratitude. He opens his historical match log, locates Swift Kill, Swordsman 95-27, and sends a friend request. Once accepted, he'll schedule another duel, determined to reclaim his honor. But no acceptance notification appears. Instead, a comment scrolls past. Streamer, I just watched Swift Kill Swordsman 9527's matches. He's already won 5 in a row. Brother, drop the link. I'll watch right away. Even Match clicks the link, and there on screen stands. Once again, he unleashes Flash Step Chain Cut and swiftly defeats another platinum-ranked opponent. Damn, it's really 5 wins straight. And he took down a level 68 platinum player. Is this sword art that powerful? No idea. We've only ever seen him use 2 techniques. I'd bet my life this is a class sword art. Quick, look, here's his 6th match. Will the streak hold? Not likely. The upcoming opponents will surely be diamond ranked, level 70 or above. Whoa, check out his next opponent. Gasp, it's her. Swift Kill Swordsman 95-27 is doomed. The instant kill Swordsman 95-27 has such a beautiful opponent this time. Isn't it just face sculpting skills? What's there to be surprised about? Wrong. She is the campus belle of Nsrank University. Su Mu Wan. This is her true appearance. Wow, so confident. But she does have the capital to be confident. This face, this figure, TSK tisk enough, said brothers, I'm charging in first. Let's observe a moment of silence for the billions of lives lost for 2.5 minutes. 6. A good show is about to unfold. Su Mu Wan is a first-year student at Nsrank University with her spiritual power rated at SR level, and her gene unlocking rate is over 3. This instant kill Swordsman 95-27 is going to be in trouble. What a pity the winning streak is about to be interrupted. Match successful. Opponent Su Mu Wan. A figure slowly emerged on the arena, a woman with long hair. She wore a light purple outfit, her long hair tied in a high ponytail, revealing delicate features and smoothly contoured long legs, radiating a youthful and vibrant aura. In stark contrast to his death's mature and cold beauty, she was equally striking. Qi Xia glanced at her level panel, Su Mu Wan LV 70. She was considerably higher than him. Sumu Wan saw Qi Xia's virtual image and glanced at the long sword in his hand, smiling faintly. It seems we are fated to meet in this positioning match, since you also use a sword. It'll go easy on you. Thank you for the kindness, but it's unnecessary. Qi Xia said as he assumed a sword-drawing stance, the tip of his sword trembling slightly, ready to strike. Sumu Wan frowned slightly, noticing he adopted the same initial stance, a glint of surprise flashing in her eyes. A sword-drawing stance. That's interesting. She turned her wrist, sheathed her sword, and assumed an identical posture. The two faced off at opposite ends of the arena, identical in form and stance, but exuding entirely different auras. Qi Xia was calm and composed, while Sumu Wan was agile and spirited. Qi Xia could vaguely sense the differences between them, but couldn't articulate it, focusing his attention on her wrist and the sword hilt. Positions 3, 2, 1, start. As soon as the countdown finished, two beams of sword light flashed simultaneously. Clang! The crisp sound of metal clashing nearly pierced their eardrums as the two figures crossed in the center of the arena, moving so fast that only afterimages remained. Qi Xia felt a jolt in his wrist as his long sword was deflected half an inch by a subtle force. Using the recoil, he steadied himself and looked at Sumu Wan across from him. She too held a slightly trembling long sword, her eyes filled with astonishment. The gap lies here, Qi Xia understood. Although Sumu Wan's sword-drawing technique was standard, it lacked the extreme explosiveness and precision of the instant kill sword technique, clearly indicating that her martial art level did not reach S grade and that she had not mastered it. However, her gene unlocking rate was evidently higher, and her spiritual power circulated more smoothly, allowing her to firmly receive the instant kill flash in their previous clash. Sumu Wan took a deep breath, her expression turning serious. Your sword-drawing technique is stronger than mine. It seems I underestimated you. Thanks for the compliment, but it's unnecessary. She tightened her grip on the long sword, its tip angled towards the ground. Can you withstand this next move? Qi Xia remained silent, once again sheathing his sword and assuming the sword-drawing stance. The silent competition had quietly intensified in the moment their gazes met. After a brief silence, they moved almost simultaneously. Instant flash, continuous slashes. Qi Xia shouted softly, his long sword transforming into dozens of afterimages in his hand, weaving a dense net of sword shadows towards Sumu Wan. Each beam of sword light struck from unexpected angles, either stabbing or slashing, each blow aimed at a... Sumu Wan's eyes narrowed, and she unleashed a similar continuous slash technique, dozens of sword shadows bursting forth from her hand, colliding with Qi Xia's sword net. Clang, 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 clang. The sound of metal clashing was dense as rain, the two figures swiftly darting among the sword lights, moving like apparitions. Amid the seemingly chaotic exchanges, every swing of the sword and every block concealed exquisite subtleties, completing dozens of collisions in the blink of an eye. Swish! With a light sound, the two figures suddenly separated, each retreating a few steps. Qi Xia steadied himself, his clothing fluttering, showing no signs of injury. However, Sumu Wan's fitted outfit bore several thin sword marks on her shoulder and arm, blood slowly seeping out. Clearly she had been at a disadvantage in the previous clash. Sumu Wan raised her hand to wipe away the blood on her shoulder, her expression grave. In the same continuous slash technique, your skill is evidently superior to mine. She had to admit that Qi Xia's swordsmanship had reached perfection. Whether it was the speed of the sword strikes, the control of angles, or the distribution of power, he surpassed her by a notch. If not for her level and gene unlocking rate being advantageous, she would have likely lost in that last exchange. This was also Qi Xia's first encounter with such a formidable swordsman. Although Sumu Wan's sword technique was not on par with the instant kill sword technique, her practical experience was extremely rich and her timing was quite precise. If not for the perfect technique aided by his system's simulations, the outcome would still be uncertain. Sumu Wan angled her sword towards the ground, and a fierce aura suddenly erupted around her. A light purple spiritual power flowed along the sword body, faintly condensing into an illusory sword shadow. That was sword intent. Qi Xia felt a slight shock in his heart. Sword intent is a power that can only be comprehended at a very high level of swordsmanship. He never expected this seemingly young woman to have already grasped it. Though her sword intent seemed barely mastered and not very strong, it was enough to prove that Sumu Wan was indeed a genius. This move will determine the victor. Her voice carried a hint of resoluteness as her long hair swayed in the flow of spiritual energy. Qi Xia took a deep breath, no longer holding back. He infused all his spiritual energy into the sword hilt, his gaze as firm as a boulder. Even without sword intent, the third form of the instant kill sword technique, round dance kill, combines mobility with multidirectional defense and attack, making it his strongest move. The two exchanged glances without any unnecessary words, only the fighting spirit in their eyes. Almost simultaneously they moved. Sumu Wan's figure transformed into a purple lightning bolt, her long sword slashing horizontally with unmatched sword intent. Qi Xia, on the other hand, pushed off the ground and suddenly spun around. He used his footwork to drive the sword blade, tracing a perfect arc in high-speed movement. The silver sword light radiated like ripples, forming a continuously rotating sword ring. It served as both defense and attack. Clang! As the two swords met, a blinding light erupted on the arena. The purple lightning-like sword intent collided with the silver sword ring, producing a deafening roar. Qi Xia felt a surge of violent power, his arm numb, but the rotating sword ring managed to absorb that. Su Mu Wan's sword trembled violently under the rebound of the sword ring. She could feel that although the opponent's sword technique appeared gentle, it concealed an endless rotational force continuously wearing down her sword intent. Crack! With a crisp sound, Su Mu Wan's long sword broke in her hand, the broken blade spinning away and embedding itself in the ground some distance away. But Qi Xia's onslaught did not end. The silver sword ring swung down. A sword slashed through Su Mu Wan's chest, splattering a large amount of blood. And at that moment, the two thunderclaps truly signified cutting ties. What on earth am I seeing? Damn, this is barbaric. No way, man, are you seriously a Sigma male? Hiss. That single stroke carved a thunderous rift on either side, as if a chasm had opened. So ruthless. I must save this and watch it again and again. Damn, where is the replay function? Qi Xia stared at the gruesome wound on the virtual arena and froze. When he unleashed the blow just now, he had failed to rein it in. The blade had sliced a long gash across Su Muin's chest, blood spouting forth in a shocking display. The rendering was so lifelike that Su Muin's battle outfit was cleaved in two, revealing fleeting glimpses beneath. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. He waved his hands awkwardly to explain, but Su Muin's cheeks flushed in an instant. A flash of embarrassed anger crossed her eyes, and before he could finish, she dissolved into motes of light. Judgment: Su Muin has been slain. Victor. Shunsha Jinka in 95-27. The system chime rang, but Qi Xia felt only acute embarrassment. He had not expected his full force to be so devastating. Coupled with the memory of Su Muin's expression, it was the sort of thing she would remember forever. Qi Xia felt helpless. He checked the time and logged out of the virtual universe. Clambering out of the pod, the sound of the television in the living room reached him. Aic was sprawled on the sofa, a bucket of popcorn on her lap, watching with relish. Had enough. Recalling the earlier incident, he chuckled embarrassedly. I suppose. Aic did not lift her head. She only murmured, I'm hungry, you'll cook. After dinner, Qi Xia did not re-enter the pod. His sword techniques were nearly honed. What mattered now was raising his gene unlock rate. He laid a mat in the living room and practiced the Xian Yuan breathing technique with meticulous care, each posture exact, sweat tracing down his jaw. Late into the night, as he completed the final form, the terminal panel finally flashed gene unlock rate 3. Phew. Qi Xia collapsed to the floor, his muscles aching as if they had come apart. He could not even lift a hand. He checked the time. It was 1 a.m. He opened the lottery interface and began the day's card draws. Congratulations, our card Natasha Lomenuofu. Natasha Lomenuofu profile. Natasha Lomenuofu appears icy, but is fiercely loyal. Summon store. Natasha Lomenuofu possessed a signature mane of red hair, a cold striking face, and a shape. Qi Xia thought of her other name. Hey Guafu, Black Widow. A fine figure, but she would likely sit in the warehouse gathering dust. After resting for about half an hour, his terminal suddenly vibrated. He fumbled to check the message. It was from Su Yuqing. Qi Xia, the raid rewards have been sorted. This is your share. Thank you for your efforts this time. If you need anything in the future, don't hesitate to contact me. An attachment listed the rewards: several pieces of equipment, glowing faintly blue, a pile of glittering spirit stones, 10 bronze-level dungeon entries, and a transfer record of 2 million credit points. That much? Qi Xia's eyes brightened. Most of his fatigue melted away. 2 million credit points together with his remaining balance could buy a good deal of cultivation resources, and 10 dungeon entries solved an urgent problem. Thanks. He replied, sat up, loosened his stiff neck, and gazed out into the night. Gene unlock rate 3%, the Shunsha sword technique perfected, and ample resources and dungeon runs. Yes, a truly fine day. Qi Xia thought it had been a fine day, but Su Muin could not sleep that night. She had staked out the virtual universe all evening waiting for Qi Xia to log on, and when he never did, she stamped her foot in fury. That damn man. Shunsha Jinka 95-27. He'll remember you. Don't let me find out who you are, or humph. The next morning, Qi Xia and Aic appeared in the professionals' dungeon hall. They hurried straight to the second floor without pause and chose a bronze-level advanced dungeon. You take point this time, I'll watch. Aic said lightly as she stepped into the portal. Fine, suits me. Qi Xia tightened his grip on the longsword and stared into the distance. The virtual duels had sharpened his use of the Shunsha sword technique until it felt instinctive. Especially with the Inying Sunlin Shadow Forest dungeon he had cleared dozens of times, he knew every inch of it. He was level 58 now, while the Shadow Wolves were only level 50. He could not advance to higher-level dungeons because he lacked permission entries. The dungeon scene unfolded, and the shadow wolves charged with savage howls. Qi Xia did not retreat, but moved forward. A flick of the wrist, the long sword flashed free. Shunsha Ishan instant kill flash. The blade like lightning pierced the throats of the 3 wolves at the front. He spun with the momentum, the sword in his hand scattering into dozens of afterimages. Shunzhan Lianzhan instant flash consecutive slashes. With clashing of steel, over 40 shadow wolves collapsed in the sword net, dissipating into motes of light. More monsters surged forward. Qi Xia's footwork was lithe, advancing at times and evading at others, his sword moves connecting like running clouds and flowing water. Confronted with thorny elites, he no longer relied solely on AIC2C. He responded calmly, exploiting awkward angles and precise timing to whittle down their health bit by bit. At last, facing the level 60 dungeon boss, the undead mage, Qi Xia drew a deep breath and fused together all he had learned over recent days. He opened with Shunshao Yishan to break its defense, followed with Shunzhan Lianzhan to suppress, and finished with Yuanwu Shawalt's kill. The combo flowed seamlessly, and he alone felled the boss beneath his blade. Not bad. AIC2C praised him rarely as she watched him sheath his sword. In the subsequent runs, Qi Xia grew ever smoother, his strikes became more vicious, and his control of spiritual energy more refined. On the 5th run, he suddenly stopped and looked at AIC2C. AIC2C, how does one grasp sword? The purple lightning-like sword intent he had seen in his duel with Su Mu in the night before had left a deep impression. If he could master sword intent before the university trials, he would face the planet-scale battle royale with far greater confidence. AIC2C flicked the European sword in her hand. An ice-blue spiritual energy condensed at once, frosting the blade as a chill, formidable pressure spread through the air. This is my sword intent. Sword intent has no fixed form, it can only be grasped through personal insight. It is your understanding of the sword, your obsession with combat, even an extension of your own will. Qi Xia pondered, fingers tracing the hilt. He'll mull it over. AIC2C turned toward the next dungeon entrance. When you truly understand why you swing the sword, perhaps, then you'll understand it. Qi Xia looked at the sword in his hand, tightened his grip, then loosened it. Why swing the sword? To grow stronger, to protect, to survive the impending battle royale. He inhaled deeply and hurried to catch up with AIC2C. Perhaps the answer lies hidden in each real fight. After completing 10 bronze-level dungeons, Qi Xia and Isteth's levels had risen to level 60. Current affection 66, bond energy 242. Unfortunately, Qi Xia had not comprehended the sword intent. It seems he must continue to hone his skills in the virtual universe battles. Perhaps he could gain some insights. He returned home, and after finishing dinner began practicing the Xian Yuan breathing technique. By the time he was exhausted, his gene unlocking rate reached 3. 2. Just when he was utterly fatigued, he laid down in the virtual universe pod for a match. This not only allowed his body to rest, but also enabled him to practice swordsmanship without pause, truly a master of time management. As soon as Qi Xia entered the virtual universe, a series of message prompts popped up on the terminal, red dots densely packed. He casually clicked open, finding that most were friend requests, among which can match anyone 50-50, and Su Mu Wan were particularly eye-catching, accompanied by private messages. Hey buddy, let's connect. If we have time to spar, we might create a live streaming effect. It'll definitely go viral. Su Mu Wan's private message was still concise, containing just 2 words: add me. Qi Xia recalled the embarrassing scene during their duel and scratched his nose, ultimately deciding to accept the request. Likewise, he accepted the friend request from can match anyone 5050. As for the other unfamiliar requests, he simply ignored them. After dealing with the messages, he immediately clicked on the positioning match, queuing for the 6th battle. Match successful. Opponent universe invincible, super cute loli. A petite figure appeared on the opposite side as the arena's light flickered. She was level 72, diamond rank. The little loli wore a medieval-style puffy dress in pink and white, holding a small pink umbrella, her delicate face and sparkling eyes indeed making her live up to her name, so cute that it was hard to look away. An unpositioned player. She tilted her head, examining Qi Xia with a soft voice. Little handsome guy, how did you get matched with such a low level? As Qi Xia was about to say something, she exclaimed and pointed at Qi Xia's battle record. 5 consecutive victories. No wonder you encountered me, seems like you have some skills. As Qi Xia attempted to speak again, she covered her mouth and laughed, her eyes crescent-shaped. Don't worry, little brother, I won't bully you, I'll go easy on you, no need to be afraid. Before Qi Xia could respond, she beat him to it. By the way, my psychic power is Legion Commander type, with several heroic spirits. Be careful, or you'll get beaten up. A rapid-fire barrage of words came at Qi Xia, who instantly lost the desire to speak, feeling his temples throb. Some girls are genuinely cute when they're quiet, but once they start talking. He gripped his long sword, taking a combat stance, unwilling to listen to the little loli chatter on. Seeing that he wasn't speaking, the little loli also put away her playful demeanor, planting her small pink umbrella on the ground. All right, I won't tease you anymore, little brother. Are you ready? Let's go. Each to their positions. 3, 2, 1, start. As the prompt sounded, the little Lola's figure suddenly blurred, and 3 distinct, heroic spirit phantoms appeared behind her. One was a knight holding a shield, one a small angel with wings, and the last a little wizard holding a staff. She called out in a crisp voice, and the knight and little angel immediately lunged at Qi Xia, while the wizard stayed beside the little lowly. Qi Xia's gaze sharpened. Instead of retreating, he advanced. With a swift motion, his sword was unsheathed, and the instant kill slash swiftly broke through the knight's shield, the sword's light simultaneously pushing back the angel. The little Lola's eyes widened in surprise. Wow, such fast swordplay. Qi Xia ignored her, his sword techniques becoming increasingly fierce. He knew that against such an opponent with multiple heroic spirits, it was crucial to strike quickly. Little brother, don't underestimate my heroic spirits. The little lowly smiled, sweetly shaking her small pink umbrella. All right, my little darlings, it's time to show your true abilities. Just as her words fell, the little wizard raised the wand, and the crystal atop it emitted a faint green glow. An invisible wave swept over Qi Xia, and he immediately felt a weight in his body. His spiritual powers operation slowed down. This is weakness. You've been hit. The little lowly clapped her hands and laughed. Now your strength is only half left. The shield-bearing knight seized the opportunity, charging at him with the shield glowing with a brownish hue, evidently enhanced with a defensive buff. The little angel behind him fluttered her wings, scattering golden specks of light that landed on the knight, increasing his speed. Qi Xia frowned, feeling the weakening power within him, but his gaze grew sharper. Indeed, the weakened state was troublesome, but the essence of the instant kill sword technique lay not in brute force, but in skill and timing. Instead of retreating, he advanced, his footwork shifting to narrowly evade the knight's charge. Simultaneously, with a twist of his wrist, his long sword traced a cunning arc, aiming directly at the little wizard. He needed to eliminate this spellcaster first. Trying to ambush. The little lowly was quick to react, shouting, "Angel, protect the wizard." The little angel immediately positioned herself in front of the wizard, her wings spread to form a golden barrier. Clang. The long sword struck the barrier, leaving only a shallow white mark. Qi Xia used the momentum to spin away, avoiding the knight's secondary charge, already formulating a plan in his mind. Coordinating multiple heroic spirits could be troublesome, but there would always be gaps in their responses. He took a deep breath, deliberately exposing an opening, allowing the knight's shield to graze his shoulder. In that instant, he suddenly crouched down, and his long sword struck like a venomous snake, bypassing the knight's side to stab directly at the little angel. This strike had a cunning angle, perfectly timed, embodying the deadliest move of basic swordsmanship, the gap stab. Thud! The sword's light pierced through the golden barrier, and the little angel's phantom wavered before dissipating into light. "Oh, my angel!" the little lowly exclaimed in shock. Seizing the advantage, Qi Xia continued his assault, executing the instant flash slash like a torrential storm. The little knight raised his shield to defend, but alas, the shield was too small to protect him from all angles, leading to his elimination. The little lowly stomped her foot, glaring angrily at the vanished heroic spirit's remnants. "Ugh, I told you to take it seriously. Why are you still so careless?" She turned to the only remaining little wizard. "It's up to you now." The little wizard shrugged, and the crystal atop the wand suddenly erupted with blinding black light. Not good. Qi Xia's heart sank, feeling his feet suddenly grow heavy. The weakness effect was clearly much stronger than before. Moreover, numerous negative marks appeared on him: bleeding, spiritual power lost, defense reduction. The status bar glowed red, and his health was visibly plummeting. Are you scared now?" The little lowly placed her hands on her hips, grinning with delight. Qi Xia felt a chill in his heart, and when he looked up again, his pupils contracted. He saw the little wizard's body expanding wildly within the black light, transforming within seconds into a giant towering dozens of floors high, her head brushing against the ceiling of the virtual arena, and her wand morphed into a colossal staff that blocked out the sun. The little wizard's voice deepened and became hoarse, filled with a demonic tone. "Instant kill, swordsman 9527, prepare to die." He could easily find a balance in any live stream. As he was casually chatting during the broadcast, he noticed a message from a friend and clicked to check it. His eyes lit up. The long-awaited moment had finally arrived. "Everyone, Shunsha Jinka 9527 is online. Let's see what he's up to." He immediately clicked teleport and found himself not far from Qi Xia. This was the outer perimeter of the arena, where he could see the matches happening inside, but could not enter or transmit sound. Inside, Qi Xia couldn't see the outside or hear their voices. He Shudu watched Qi Xia engage in a positioning match, curiously glancing at his opponent. "Oh, I didn't expect 9527's opponent to be a little lowly." The bullet comments began to flood the screen. "Shunsha Jinkin 9527 has finally gone online. Brother Kai has been waiting all night for revenge, ha." At this moment, Brother Kai looks like a little wife abandoned by a man very melancholic. By the way, that 9527's opponent looks a bit familiar. Universe Invincible super cute little loli, and you don't recognize her. She's an SSR psychic from this level university. Oh my gosh. No wonder she looks so familiar. Turns out she was last year's SSR psychic. Wow. It really is her. 9527 is doomed. Just as they were discussing, a figure teleported next to Hishudo. It was Su Muin. Oh, Su Muin has also arrived. Haha, it seems that one strike left her very concerned about 9527. Not just concerned, oh, she seems to want to take revenge on 9527 as well. TSK tisk. Now, I feel like 9527 is a scumbag, not only making Brother Kai miss him, but also making Su Muin so worried. Haha, he attracts both men and women. Su Muin, of course, could not see the comments in Hishudo's live stream, her focus entirely on Qi Xia. Her gaze was melancholic, fixed on the battle in the arena. When she saw Qi Xia swiftly defeat the little knight and the little angel, she was slightly taken aback. He has become stronger. How long has it been? How could his strength have improved so much? It was truly astonishing. The viewers in the live stream couldn't tell the change in Qi Xia, but Hishudo could. He inwardly clicked his tongue. Given the strength Qi Xia displayed, he feared that in a spar he would still lose. If that were the case, any vows of revenge seemed less significant. Just as he pondered this, he saw Qi Xia afflicted by numerous debuffs, his movements hindered. Soon Qi Xia stood frozen, his gaze becoming vacant. What's going on? Why isn't he moving? Could it be? Qi Xia looked up at the towering little wizard, his heart racing, his body frozen in place. What the heck? It can grow that huge? The little wizard resembled a moving mountain, slightly raising a leg about to stomp down. Seeing this, Qi Xia exerted force and sprinted. Yet the gigantic little wizard's movements, though seemingly slow, had a crushing force, sending shockwaves that repeatedly knocked him back. Ha ha, little mouse, where do you think you're running? The little wizard laughed mischievously like a child, saying, is it fun? Run faster. Once again, a giant foot stomped down. Qi Xia struggled to evade, but still got caught in the gust, tearing his clothing and causing him to stagger back, feeling suffocated. Damn it. How do you fight such a huge body? Before he could think further, another giant foot descended. He hurriedly dodged, but was still sent flying, crashing hard to the ground. This was not a viable strategy. At that moment, he caught a glimpse of the little wizard's massive shadow and noticed something strange. Such a massive body cast an unusually blurred shadow on the ground, even slightly twisting with his movements. What's happening? Qi Xia recalled the little wizard's profession and some wizard's abilities, suddenly concluding that this was an unstable illusion. Could it be? Qi Xia's pupils contracted as he focused, ignoring the oppressive massive figure fixating on the core of the gigantic wizard. Indeed, amidst the layers of black mist, a faint red glow flickered, positioned at the same height as it's an illusion, or rather a mental disturbance mixed with fear magic. Realizing this, Qi Xia instantly calmed down. He no longer dodged the giant shadow's attack, but charged directly toward the descending giant foot, turning abruptly to the side, just a few meters away, directing his sword at that blurred red light. Shunshaoizhan. The sword light pierced through the black mist, accurately striking that point of red light. A brief cry of pain rang out, and the giant shadow before him shattered like broken glass, the towering body vanishing instantly, revealing the little wizard, who was covering her staff, looking utterly bewildered. You? How did you discover it? The little wizard blinked, her tone filled with disbelief. I played too hard. I didn't expect your insight to be so sharp. As soon as she finished speaking, her figure transformed into light particles and disappeared. Only the little loli remained standing in place, looking at Qi Xia, suddenly pouting and waving her little hand. All right, I admit defeat. They were too playful, and you caught their flaw. Battle ended. Winner, Shunsha Jinka in 95-27. Qi Xia sheathed his sword, looking at the pouting little loli before him, feeling relieved. That previous illusion's oppressive feeling was too real. Had he not discovered the flaw in time, he might have truly fallen to this seemingly cute opponent. Your spirit is quite special. The little Lola's eyes sparkled, returning to a cheerful demeanor. I'll play with you again next time. After saying that, she too transformed into light particles and vanished. Qi Xia looked at his 7 consecutive victories in the positioning matches, the corners of his mouth slightly rising. He chose not to rest and directly began to match again. After all, with each new start, he could return to his optimal state without wasting time. Match successful. Opponent Dark Knight Assassin 567. On the arena, light and shadow coalesced, revealing a woman dressed in a black, tight-fitting combat suit. She had a slender figure, sharp lines, and a thin veil covering her face, revealing only a pair of cold, piercing eyes. Level 77, starry rank. Amazing. 95-27 even beat that little loli. Even if she wasn't taking it seriously, overthrowing a higher-ranked opponent is still impressive. Overthrowing the higher-ranked. Who is below, who is above? Don't be crude, I'm dizzy. Huh, 9527 is matching again. Really, why don't they come out and let us see our bro Kai and Su Muin's two little brides? Huh. Match found. This woman is stunningly beautiful. Damn. It's Onyatsika 567. Holy, it's really her. 9527 is doomed. The last round said the same about you. And the round before that said the same as well. And the round before that said the same too. Stop talking. His face is swollen. Onyatsika 567 cast a glance across the arena, a faint frown. She seemed mildly surprised at this untagged opponent, then the expression vanished as quickly as it had come. She stepped to one side, a dagger held across her chest, and an intense killing intent unfurled around her. It was not the simulated aura of a virtual duel, but a blood-chilling malice distilled from mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Qi Xia felt a chill in his heart. That killing intent alone outweighed every opponent he had faced before combined. In reality, this Onyatsika 567 was clearly no benevolent soul. He dared not tarry. He sheathed his sword and assumed the drawing stance, meeting Onyatsika 567's gaze. System ready. 3, 2, 1, begin. The instant the prompt sounded, 567's figure blurred, and a mere afterimage remained. So fast. Qi Xia's pupils contracted. He spun, scanning the arena with rapid, anxious eyes. Several afterimages flickered around him, the airflows whipped like blades across his cheeks, and the suffocating killing intent clung like a shadow, as if a lethal strike could erupt from any blind corner at any moment. He forced himself calm, ceasing his search for a solid form, and instead attuning to the flow of the killing intent. A true killing strike would necessarily hide where the killing intent condensed most densely. Now, at the left rear, 3 o'clock, the killing intent snapped into concentration. Shunshao flash. Qi Xia did not hesitate. His long sword flashed from its sheath, like a silver lightning bolt, toward that direction. SSS. The sword light sliced through afterimages and struck nothing but empty air. Too slow, a cold voice murmured from behind him. Qi Xia's hairs rose. It was too late to turn and block. Onyatsika 567 had used the afterimages as cover, slipping behind him with a dagger aimed at the hollow of his back. This was the assassin's craft: confuse the eyes with afterimages, use high-speed movement to create an opening, then strike to kill from a blind spot. At the critical instant, Qi Xia twisted his body, wrenching a half-inch of motion by sheer force. PFT. The dagger grazed his scapula and pierced, blood bursting forth. Pain surged, but leveraging his twist, Qi Xia countered with a rising arc of his long sword. Waltz of death. A silver ring of sword light enveloped 567 in an instant. She had not expected Qi Xia to retaliate after being wounded. Hurriedly parrying with her dagger, she was shaken backward by the ring's centrifugal force, nearly losing her grip. Qi Xia pressed a bloody hand to his shoulder, breath ragged, yet his eyes shone with an astonishing light. Onyatsika 567 stepped back several paces, spinning her dagger on a fingertip. Coldness lay in her gaze, but there was also a faint, almost imperceptible note of approval. You have a good eye. Now I will get serious. Qi Xia ignored the blood seeping from his scapula. He gripped his sword with both hands, fixing his gaze forward with an expression even firmer than before. 567 pushed off on her toes and vanished again. This time her speed eclipsed what had come before, even her afterimages blurred. PFT. 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 The sickening sound of blades biting flesh rang out in succession as Qi Xia took new wounds on his arm, thigh, and cheek. Blood spattered through the air. He could no longer discern the origin of the strikes, forced to twist his body on instinct to shield vital points. The surrounding killing intent felt substantial pressing upon him until he struggled to draw breath. He had to find a way. Qi Xia gritted his teeth, the metallic tang of blood on his tongue. The Shunsha sword technique had been born for slaughter. It was truly a doctrine of killing. Yet he possessed only flawless technique and had not grasped the sword art's true meaning. With that thought, he slowly closed his eyes. Closing his eyes, 567 paused in the shadows, a flicker of surprise crossing her face. Had he given up, or was he seeking some sudden insight? She did not strike at once, as she wished to see what this youth intended. A minute passed, and Qi Xia maintained his stance with sword in hand like a statue. High-speed movement taxed spiritual energy greatly. 567 ceased hesitation, her form becoming a black gale, sweeping toward Qi Xia's back. The killing intent on her dagger condensed to the brink of tangibility. At that very instant, Qi Xia flung his eyes open. There was no confusion in them, only an icy clarity. Killing intent erupted from him, unexpectedly resonating with 567's own fierce malice, as if an invisible thread had linked the two together. A shock ran through 567, her attack, slowed a fraction unconsciously. This killing intent was not stronger than hers, yet it seemed to connect with hers and lock onto a target. Qi Xia seized the brief hesitation and drew his sword. Shunshao flash. The blade lunged, striking precisely at the opening exposed by the linkage of killing intent. Clang. Dagger met long sword. 567 was shaken back, half a step, genuinely surprised for the first time. Qi Xia braced himself on his sword, his chest heaving. He had found it. Guided by the thread of killing intent, he had discovered a way to track high-speed movement. 567 regarded Qi Xia, her look carrying a deeper approval. She tightened her grip on the dagger, and the killing intent around her surged cold and tangible as ice. You are good, but no more than that. Now I will use my final move to send you on your way. Shunny and kill. Before the words finished, her figure dissolved utterly. Not even an afterimage remained. Only that suffocating killing intent remained in the air, rolling like a tide that threatened to crush Qi Xia's consciousness. That speed. Qi Xia's heart jolted. He could, by following the killing intent, barely make out a faint trace of trajectory, but 567's velocity was so great the invisible link trembled violently and threatened to snap at any moment. He could not wait. Qi Xia inhaled deeply and poured every ounce of his killing intent into his long. The forms of the Shunsha sword technique raced through his mind. He ceased the futile chase for 567's position and immersed all his spirit into the one-word kill. The sword is a tool to slay. Killing intent is the sword's soul. At the instant killing intent and blade fused, Qi Xia's gaze turned devoid of feeling, as if he had become a sword without mercy. Now, under the guidance of killing intent, the blurred trace suddenly hesitated. That was the instant 567 changed direction, the soul opening. Shunshao flash. Qi Xia cried, and the speed with which his long sword left the sheath shattered his. The sword light was different now. Oh, it sought no flourish, only the purest intent to kill, and the ultimate velocity, like lightning striking that momentary pause with unerring precision. PFT. A soft sound, then blood sprayed. 567 reappeared, the dagger clattering to the ground, a piercing wound traversing her chest. She stared at Qi Xia in disbelief, the last shard of her icy composure replaced by astonishment. You? Judgment hit the vital point. Battle over. Winner. Shunsha swordsman 95-27. Qi Xia sheathed his sword, staggering as if utterly drained. That strike had consumed nearly all his killing intent and spiritual energy. He watched Onyatsika 567 dissolve into a pinpoint of light, his chest still aching from the extreme killing intent he had summoned. He had won this duel. More than winning the match, he had brushed the threshold of sword intent to enter the Tao by means of killing.